This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome into the Wisconsin Live Desk this Wednesday afternoon. Time check for you there. It is 12:30 on the dot. I'll be with you until 2:30. So I'm with you for the next 2 hours here. And then our very own Ted Perry will take over at 2:30 and get you all the way to 3:30. Of course, this is your first time tuning in to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Maybe you're joining us from the Wisconsin Weather Experts. We take you kind of around the state and really around the country and bring you the latest news live as it happens. So I actually want to kind of just show you what we're working with right now on the feeds. Of course, we'll just start with a nice live look outside where you can see it is a blue sky, not a cloud out there right now, and it is 50 degrees, which sounds so delightful after the last couple of days that we have had here in Wisconsin. So it's nice to see a little bit above average here in mid-November. We also right now have a photographer at a press conference happening right here in Minneapolis, in Milwaukee, with the public schools district here, talking about a grant they just got that is going to help prepare students for college. You can see our photographer is getting some shots right now of the kiddos, but we'll keep our eye on this feed, and when that press conference starts, we'll bring it to you right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're also going to get the latest update on our Coats for Kids drive, now in its 41st year, but also happening live right now out of D.C. Is a press briefing out of the White House there. Caroline Leavitt speaking just moments ago. We were actually hearing from the FBI Director Kash Patel. So we're going to listen in here and see what Caroline has to say as that government shutdown does continue. I believe we're now in day 43, but let's listen in here for a little bit.
The Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period. It's hard to recap all of this without asking a simple question: why? Why have the Democrats put the American people through this pain for 43 days in a row? And it feels like Groundhog Day being up here again talking about this Democrat shutdown. And the answer to that question is pure partisan politics. They started this shutdown with a ridiculous demand to force taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal aliens who broke into our country. Even after it was clear President Trump and Republicans would never force American taxpayers to pay for free health care for illegals. In fact, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill fixed that problem. The Democrats kept dragging this reckless government shutdown on for weeks longer to boost their turnout in an election, perhaps one may guess. That's because the Democrats are totally captured by their far left-wing base, who only care about attacking President Trump, even if it means hurting innocent Americans in our country. The Democrats' weakness and their unwillingness to buck the fringe members of their party dragged this harmful shutdown on for 7 weeks and inflicted massive pain onto the American public. But let's be clear, the clean CR being voted on today in the House of Representatives that will lead to the reopening of the federal government is what President Trump and Republicans have supported from day one. Our troops, air traffic controllers, and federal employees will be back to receiving their regular paychecks. Families in need will get back to receiving their food purchasing assistance, and the people's government will soon be back open for business. President Trump looks forward to finally ending this devastating Democrat shutdown with his signature, and we hope that signing will take place later tonight. On another matter, I want to address the affordability issue that's received a great deal of media attention this past week, which is ironic because it didn't receive that much attention when Joe Biden was here and inflation was at a record high 9%, the worst inflation crisis in modern American history. And President Trump won a landslide election in part to address the affordability issues created by Joe Biden and the Democrats. And that's exactly what President Trump has done since day one of his administration. Since the first day in office and every day since, the Trump administration has taken aggressive action to fix the Biden-created cost of living issues. The notion that the same Democrats who just shut down the federal government to sabotage our economy, rob people of their paychecks, and also helped Joe Biden ratchet up inflation to 9% are now suddenly affordability champions, that notion is completely absurd. and it's something only the liberal media would have the gall to push. But the reality is that President Trump and his administration have done so much to lower prices and increase the economic prosperity of the American people. And this president and his team of amazing economic advisors are going to keep working on this issue every single day. In less than 10 short months, President Trump signed the largest middle-class tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security, which will guarantee that next year Americans are going to put more money back into their pockets. The president has completely unleashed American energy dominance to help bring gasoline prices to the lowest in 5 years, and we expect them to continue to decrease. And it has also lowered energy costs overall. There is more work to do, but again, the president's deregulatory and pro-American energy agenda is absolutely going to continue to drive down prices. This formula worked in the president's first term, and we expect that it's going to work again. And this is key because we know energy costs are the #1 driver of inflation. Again, just look at what Joe Biden did to our energy industry over the past 4 years of his administration, and look at what happened to inflation as a result. Everything became...
All right, if you're just joining us, we have been listening in there as Caroline Leavitt provided a press briefing from the White House talking about the government shutdown and also the piece of legislation that is now in the House's hands after it passed the Senate, which most likely looks like will pass later today, which would reopen the government. So we did earlier have a stakeout camera where we were watching for some lawmakers. I know Hakeem Jeffries was there. So if that pops back up, we will bring that to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk so that we can hear from both sides on the latest with the government shutdown. But now we're going to switch gears, go back to Wisconsin, where earlier this morning it was very chilly. I certainly did not want to leave my apartment without a winter coat, and that is the case for pretty much everyone. And we need coats, which is why we have our 41st year of the FOX6 Coats for Kids Drive. And our very own weather expert, Lisa Michaels, joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. You have been out there collecting coats. How's it going, Lisa?
It's going good, Haley. Of course, you know, bundled up out here. It is chilly, it is breezy, but at least we have the sunshine and no snow on the ground right now. As you mentioned, yes, we are doing the 41st annual Coats for Kids campaign, and we are very lucky to have two fantastic ladies with us here. We have the general manager of Steinhoffels in Waukesha, Kathy Geyer, and as well as our Salvation Army representative for the Milwaukee County, Major Gates. I wanted to thank you two ladies for coming out here. I'm asking you a couple questions. What does this mean to have Steinhoffels be a part of the 41st annual Coats for Kids drive? Because I know you've been working with this campaign before. This isn't the first year, but this is a big milestone.
Yeah, it's really special. I think just for so many decades to be able to partner with our community and do something that's good for, you know, so many children in our immediate neighborhood, that's really fantastic. So we're very appreciative.
And today's special because we're not only going to one Steinhoffels, we are going to 3 different locations. We had Rob out earlier, our chief meteorologist Rob Haspel, in the Menominee Falls one. I'm out here now in the Waukesha location, but we have a third one where if you can't get here to drop off some coats by 1 p.m. from 4 to 6, Tom Walks will be in the Steinhoffels Oak Creek location. Is this something that you see a lot of employees taking pride in and even participating in?
Yeah, for sure. I think even before the actual event starts, our associates are already asking, you know, where are the bins? Can I start telling customers about it? So they're always really excited, and, you know, they live and work in this community. So they're always really appreciative of being able to create such an immediate assistance.
And so this is not, again, the only 3 locations you can drop off coats. We have 6 Steinhoffel locations. You can find those at fox6now.com. But what does it mean to have just so many locations where these bins are out? And where are the bins exactly for someone who maybe wants to still donate through December 7th?
Yeah, so when we do the drives, we've got the little blue round bins as well as these giant cardboard ones. And so any other day up until December 7th, we're going to have the blue ones usually right inside of the door at any of our locations.
Today's incentive really for this drive-through event is not only do you get to drop off coats, but you get to physically say hi to us. Again, the meteorologists are out here. We have representatives out here as well. And if you donate just 4 coats, you can either get a pair of tickets to Disney on Ice or Monster Jam, something really great for kiddos to enjoy. Now, Beverly Gates, we have you, Major Gates, we have you here. And we've been collecting coats of all sizes. You know, it doesn't matter if they're small, they're larger, kids of all different sizes, all different different ages. What does this mean to have not only 1, 2, but almost 3 bins full as we are out here today?
It means that we're going to able to help those in our community who needs coats for the winter season.
And how exciting is this for you? Because we did this last year. We were all out here in the cold, so we know how important the coats are. But what does it mean for kids to be able to get their hands on a really nice coat?
You know, it shows that they're cared for. They have the equipment, the coats, the warmth in order to prepare themselves to be able to go to school. And, you know, if they're warm when they go to school, then they're able to focus better. So it makes it a difference because they're cared for.
Yeah. One of the things that I think you get to see more that's spectacular and rewarding that we don't as much is the process of these coats going from the bins and getting their hands in children. How does this process work? I mean, it's very rewarding to have people drop off the coats, and they're excited because a lot of the people dropping off coats are mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles themselves, and they're going through their coats for kids who don't need them. But explain this process of when we collect them and put them in these bins, where do they go from here on out?
So we take the coats back to our warehouse, and we have volunteers who come in and they'll sort the coats. They'll make sure the zippers are working, that there's no holes in them. Then we send them off to our dry cleaners who supports and is a sponsor as well. And they clean them, and then we bring them back so that we can get them into the hands of those who need them in our community.
Now, do the kids or people who need coats get to pick them themselves? And what is the experience like when you hand them over a new coat?
So yes, this year the kids were there to be able to pick out their own coats. So they were able, amongst racks of coats that have been collected, they got to go around and say, ooh, I want a pink one, and find a pink one. And then it's watching the kids' eyes light up and say, this, you know, not only is it pink, but this is what I want. And it's joyful.
One thing I want to add is our community is so great, and we have a great need in our community for more coats and more ways to give back. If there's someone who's just learning about this now, what do they do to get involved and or find a way if they need a coat? I mean, can they just stop by the Salvation Army? How do they get involved if they're a family in need?
Okay, in a family in need, you can look on our website at samilwaukee.org, and we have a button there that will direct them to locations that will be distributing coats now through the winter, and they can contact those locations and be able to make arrangements to go in and get coats that will fit them for the season.
One question I had someone also ask me when they were driving through dropping off coats is, do we have enough volunteers to help at these events? If someone wants to just volunteer and help out with the Salvation Army or any events, what can they do?
We have volunteer opportunities in a variety of different areas. And so they can go on to that samilwaukee.org, go to our volunteer button, and they will see an array of opportunities that they can join in and be a partner with us in meeting the needs of our community.
Well, this is amazing. I mean, we really couldn't do this without either of you two ladies and as well as the corporations that you're involved with. Is there anything else that you want to add and tell people about?
I just want to say thank you to our community, because without our community being a part of this, we wouldn't be able to help the multitude of kids that need the help during the winter.
Yeah.
I think just thank you again. You know, like Major Gates said, all these kids can now focus on what's important going into the holiday season. So.
And it's such a simple way, right? Just to give back one coat at a time. We all have coats or clothing. I'm a big person in helping donate of things we don't need, but it's simple. Again, you can drop off. Thank you so much for being here today. You can drop off coats at any of these bins. They will be here through December 7th, not October 7th. We're past October now. But we are, again, going to have more opportunities for you at home to help drop off coats. And Haley, I don't know. I mean, I wish I was this small again. I don't know if you remember being a little kid, but it's so cute. I just wish it would fit me.
I wish. I was going to say, I love that the kids there get to go kind of shopping when it comes to those distribution opportunities. Because, yeah, when you were a kid, you always wanted the coat with the color you liked, the design you liked. I always find, Lisa, the little boy coats so cute and precious. So I always want to kind of fit into those. While you're here, I got to ask, I know the big kind of exciting incentive today if you donate at these drive-thrus, as you mentioned, 4 coats get you 2 tickets to either Disney on Ice or Monster Jam. Which one would you choose?
That's a great question. So I've actually been to Disney on Ice, and it's fantastic. So I think a little bit of both, right? You can't go wrong with either. Disney on Ice has a great atmosphere, a great skill set of athletes that are performing. They make it family fun, appropriate, but also a night to just enjoy with other families. Monster Jam I have not done, but I have been to certain kinds of cars or truck events before, and that may be good whether you have a girl or a boy or anyone who's more into engines and revving it up and making a little more noise. But both are at Pfizer Forum, and they will be held in January. So again, it's not too late if you have kiddos at home, or maybe even you yourself that wants to help donate 4 coats and get a pair of those tickets so you can go out and enjoy it as we ring on New Year.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew there was a reason I liked you, Lisa, because I've also definitely been to Disney on Ice as an adult, and I think it's a great performance.
You know what? Haley, you would be out there singing for every song. I know you.
Yeah, this is very true. This is accurate. I was actually just checking on FOX6Now.com, the latest with monetary donations, Lisa. We've now passed $6,100, which is so exciting.
Huge. And that's another great way. So if you can't physically, or you don't have any coats, you can't physically get out to one of our sites to donate, we do have an option on FOX6Now.com where we have a safe way for you to be able to make money donations. So that way you're not giving it to some random person through a random site. We do have information on how to do that there. And I don't know if we can pop it up on our screen, but we have a QR code as well where you can easily take your camera, scan it, and find that safe way to donate through FOX6Now.com.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, we'll work on getting a QR code. $25 buys a brand new coat that retails at $61. So it's a great way, as you mentioned, if you don't have a coat lying around, to still participate. For you, Lisa, what's it like to see the generosity of our community, not just in $6,100, but I've seen so many coats get dropped off while you're there.
Yeah, so we have filled so many bins so far, and again, we're not even done for the day today. I think for me, as someone who's given back a lot when I was younger, through Girl Scouts and events, through church and stuff, it really does mean the world. And as much as people think of the holiday time as a time for receiving gifts, I think the more you watch people and you give those gifts, it's way more rewarding to help those in need and to make others happy. And it's such a simple way to do. Again, donating some money, donating a coat. Kids need it. People need warmth in the winter. And of course, we always talk about, as meteorologists, cold weather. That is something, unfortunately, that can cause illnesses as well as fatalities. So we want to make sure that every kid going to the bus stop is bundled up in the morning. Every adult going outside, whatever size or shape you are, that you are able to find a way to stay warm. At the end of the day, why do we do what we do as meteorologists? It's a way to keep people safe. It's as simple as that. So being out here is more than rewarding to just get the coats, have people say hi. And of course, again, we have another opportunity to see a meteorologist and help give back today at the Oak Creek location in Steinhoffels from 4 to 6.
Yes, I think that's such a good reminder there, Lisa, that this is really a necessity in Wisconsin, these winter coats, and it could genuinely save lives by donating and making sure these kiddos are warm this winter. So we appreciate you so much joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and we can't wait to chat again some other time soon. All right, that's the latest from our very own Lisa Michaels out there at the Coats for Kids Drive. Again, if you have some coats, perhaps 4, that you want to drop off at the Oak Creek at Steinhoffels from 4 to 6, you can get that incentive of either 2 tickets for Disney on Ice or for Monster Jam. All right, you might notice it behind me. This feed, that was that press conference that we showed you earlier on here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, which has started. So I want to go ahead and bring this up so we can listen in. Again, this is MPS receiving a 7-year, $23 million grant to help prepare students for college. So let's learn a little bit more together.
Academics, NCEP, Northwestern University Center for Talent Development, Cambridge Education Services, Texas Instruments, Excalibur, West Ed, and NAF, a leading nonprofit connecting schools with industry partners. And some of you may not know this, MPS previously implemented a $14.9 million Gear Up grant from 2011 to 2018, which produced some measurable improvements in graduation rates, college participation, and advanced placement course enrollment. So now we're going to hear from one of our valued Gear Up partners who will share how this collaboration will directly support you MPS students and families. I would like to introduce the Executive Director of Mentor Greater Milwaukee, Mr. Linnell Rainey.
Well, good afternoon. How we doing? Young people, how we doing? Great. Listen, I am super excited to be here today. One, I'm an MPS alum. I went to grade school, middle school, and then I graduated from the Riverside University High School. So I am happy to be partnering with MPS today to work with the Gear Up program. And so I just want to share a little bit of who we are, what we're going to do, and how excited we are to work with you all here in the district. We want to first make sure that all young people in the program have support. Support not just educationally, but socially and emotionally as well. Because we know all of those things are needed so you can grow and prosper long term in your life and in your careers when you choose them. Mentor Greater Milwaukee is guided by really 3 key principles. And it's really important that we bring all of that. The first thing is, how do we become a technical assistance supporter of the district? We want to make sure that mentorship and mentoring is a key element for all the students. We want to create a mentoring mindset, which basically means each one of you know you have a caring adult who will be supporting you on your journey. The second thing we want to do is really focus on how do we get more mentors in the building? How do you each have someone you can lean on, talk to, be there for you to help you grow academically, again, emotionally and socially. So we want to help do that. And the third thing is, how do we be your biggest cheerleader through mentorship? How are we advocating that mentoring is the right and proper tool to help you be successful? So as we continue to grow this partnership, we're excited to come into all the schools and serve those 4,000 kids through mentoring. And so with that being said, I'm actually going to be calling up someone who's also a graduate of not only MPS, but he's a Gear Up alumni as well. So he's the class of 2018, am I right? 2018. So he's going to come tell his journey, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the near future. But Mario, come on up, please. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. So I'm a little nervous. My name is Mario Hamilton, and I currently serve as a pre-college counselor at Marquette University. But prior to, and this is kind of like a 360 moment, I was a STEM teacher right out of college, and I'm seeing some of my students in the crowd right now, and it's just bringing me joy. But yes, I'm pursuing my educational and leadership policy master's at Marquette University while I'm paving the way for college access for first-generation students living in the city of Milwaukee. Born and raised in the city of Milwaukee, on the north side in particular, it was many trials and tribulations faced in attempting to pursue a college degree. Being a first-generation black male, programs like Gear Up, Upward Bound, People, and many other pre-college programs saw the need for providing adequate resources for someone like me, and that became the lifeline for staying on track to achieving my goals to this day. Having access to pre-college programs in retrospect has had a grand impact on my collegiate career, my personal developmental goals, and my capacity to lead as both an individual as well as a team. When Gear Up made its way to my school, Morris Marshall, which is now known as Milwaukee Marshall School for the Gifted and Talented, my educational trajectory began to progressively expand due to having access to things like mentorship, right? Leaders who stand as educational role models, offering guidance and making the right choices throughout our educational experiences. Educational enrichment opportunities, college tours and events that's dedicated towards providing direction towards obtaining student career passions and bridging the gap between MPS schools. Having different schools collaborate together to cultivate a melting pot of various students created insight on how, in one way or another, we stand together, right, in breaking barriers in pursuit of our education. Provided connections to higher educational opportunities. Even at the finish line in college, college access and college application season, GILB remained a resource in connecting me to the proper college in alignment with my personal goals and aspirations. Class of 2018, right, they still brought me through and through. Having a wealth of resources in regard to access to college is essential for expanding mass access to college opportunities for people like me. Living in the city of Milwaukee and pursuing a higher education is no easy feat, to say the least. But college programs like Europe offer the resources needed for those who, with our help, can be the difference we want to see in the city of Milwaukee's educational system. Thank you.
All right, friends, we're about to wrap up. My name's Erica Pollack, and I'm lucky to serve as the College Access Coordinator for MPS. Please give another round of applause to Mario. So I will tell you, we dug in the Gear Up archives, and we were able to find a picture of Mario over here from his time in Gear Up. So definitely take a look at that. So we're excited to bring this work directly to our schools and students with a kickoff for our students and family and community in January of 2026. This event will raise awareness about the project goals, opportunities, and participating schools. Speaking of, a huge thank you to our principals who made it today, as well as many of our partners. We love our principals. There has been a scrolling list of all of our schools as well as our partners, but again, thank you for joining us today. I also want to acknowledge the members of the DPI Wisconsin Educational Opportunity Program team who are here today. We look forward to partnering with our state-level Gear Up staff to make sure we serve as many Milwaukee students as possible. Another important partner that was critical in our grant application is our evaluation team from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Socially Responsible Evaluation and Education, Dr. Curtis Jones and James Sokolowski. We can't wait to meet the goals of our program with the support of all of our partners and, most importantly, all of you. So what do you guys think? You ready for college? Yeah. So thank you for joining us today to celebrate this exciting new chapter in MPS future history. We are available for questions if they're specific to the Gear Up grant at this point. We're also happy to take interviews after the end of this presentation. So thank you so much.
All right, we've been listening in here at this presentation at Carson Academy, talking again about that grant that they just received of $23 million to help get all of these students that we're looking at, these young ones, prepared for college. I know they talked about the importance there of mentorship. So exciting news, of course, for Milwaukee Public Schools, because yeah, $23 million is a lot of money that will help a lot of students. So I'm sure we'll have more on that coming up a little bit later in Fox Local, but I'm glad that we could bring you that press conference live as it happened right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. I know we have another kind of big announcement coming out this morning that our very own Abril Preciado is going to fill us in on. And of course, we are continuing to monitor the feeds, and we'll let you know if anything happens. A big day in D.C. as we look towards the House voting later tonight on that government funding bill, which if they pass, has already passed the Senate, meaning it would go to President Trump's desk for a signature and most likely reopen the government after the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. So we're keeping our eye on a lot of things here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and we'll be right back to do some more news in 2 minutes. Stick with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Wednesday afternoon. I feel like that first half an hour kind of flew by as we got to hear from the White House, from our very own Lisa Michaels on our Fox 6 Coats for Kids drive, and hear the latest announcement coming out of Milwaukee Public Schools with that huge grant to help prepare kids for college. So yeah, 30 minutes has already come and gone. We've gotten to a lot of live and local news, and now I think we should take another live look outside. 102 right now, and it's 51 degrees. Of course, this is not normally a time that would have heavy traffic, but if you were wondering, here's a quick look at the roads. Looks very nice if you have any lunch plans, or maybe you have to hit the road and go on a trip. You should run into pretty much no traffic right there. It's looking very much nice, and I'm just so glad that it's 51 degrees, which is still cold. I know Lisa was still very much bundled up for all of her live shots, especially if you're outside for a longer period of times, but compared to the 20-something degrees I woke up to yesterday, I will absolutely take the 51 degrees that's happening right now. Delaney, how do you feel about 50s?
I'm okay with it. It's better than
just
like
okay
super
with
cold.
I thought you'd be like more excited.
No, I don't mind the 50s. Better than the cold.
What's your favorite kind of temperature?
Like, I guess high 50s, low 60s, but never ready when it actually does hit.
I know. I do feel like 50s now is going to feel significantly warmer because we were feeling 20s and we had like snow. Then now all of a sudden it's going to feel like it's 80 degrees even though it's 50.
Right?
So I'm actually right along the same page with you. I think low 60s, cloudy sky, that's like a sweatshirt is all you need. That's my favorite kind of weather.
That's the best kind of weather. I agree.
It is. Yeah, which is kind of, no, I mean, it's blue skies out there, so it's not cloudy, but it's nice and dry at least out there. So that's kind of nice to look at. Well, hey, we are going to look at the feeds and see what we can find for you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Here was where Caroline Levitt was providing her update from earlier today. You can see that wrapped. Again, there was a stakeout camera to hear from potentially other lawmakers who actually I think might be coming down the steps right now. Let me see if I can pull this up for you guys and see if this is happening live. It looks like we might be able to hear from Hakeem Jeffries right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk as he walks down the steps there. He, of course, would be providing an update on the government shutdown ahead of the House voting earlier tonight. So let's go ahead and listen in. I'm glad we caught this. Oh no, you guys, we might not have any audio to this. Let me see if it's just taking a second for them to turn it on. I don't see him talking quite yet, but we do have both of our channels on for audio, and I'm not hearing anything just yet. Let me see if I can put it in a different one. Otherwise, we might not have audio to hear from Hakeem Jeffries the way that I was hoping we would. Let's see. No, I don't think they have any audio. Well, we came so close to potentially hearing there an update from the Democrats as far as the government shutdown. Obviously, we heard from Caroline Levitt earlier in the hour, a Republican, on her thoughts as, again, most likely that funding bill should pass later today in the House, since it already did pass the Senate, which then would go to President Trump's desk, who has said that he would sign it to reopen the government. So we'll keep our eye on that feed because I do want to hear from Hakeem Jeffries if possible, but right now it doesn't look like we have any audio there just yet. We've got a lot, though, coming up. We're going to have an announcement here pretty soon about the closure of a clinic here in Milwaukee that we're going to get to. We're also going to be joined by Tim Van Voren coming up a little bit later in the show. He's, of course, at Lambeau today, hearing the latest on the Green Bay Packers, which right now is not probably the best vibe, I would imagine, out of Green Bay, as they did just come off back-to-back losses, losing Monday Night Football against the Eagles in a low-scoring game, 10-7. Actually, the score was 0-0 at half, which you never want to see from your offense. But again, they're already at practicing today. They're speaking to members of media as they gear up for this next week, which I think is week 11 of the NFL. But that game will be in New York. You don't have to travel, though. We'll have it for you right here on Fox 6. On Sunday, of course, we have our Fox NFL kickoff coming to you at 10 a.m. Fox NFL Sunday will be at 11, and then the game is at noon. Of course, your Green Bay Packers taking on the New York Giants, who we did look up earlier on the Wisconsin Live Desk this week. They do have a losing record. I think it was 2-7. So we're hoping the Green Bay Packers can pull off the win. We'll get TVV's thoughts. He's really the expert when it comes to sports. It's not me or Delaney, especially when we're talking football. Right, Delaney?
Right.
Yeah. We'll leave it to Tim Van Voren. I've become a little bit better this year with my fantasy league, but I'm still no expert, especially because Delaney, would not be cheering for the Packers when I'm watching football games. I'm following the Bears, so we always learn a lot of insight from TVV on Wednesdays.
We do. He always gives some good insight.
I don't want to, get too excited, but you know that I get to talk to TVV about my fantasy league.
I know.
Do you think he's going to be proud?
I think he'll be excited.
Yeah. I think this is the third week in a row I've gotten to chat with TVV, and I have won 3 weeks in a row with Fantasy League. So is Tim Van Voren my good luck charm?
I was going to say, he might be.
He just might be. I am going to have you ask a question to Tim. So have you been thinking? Have you been preparing?
I'll get prepared now.
Okay. I think you should ask. Well, actually, I'm not going to give you any of my questions because I prepared some for him. So you should come up with a good one.
I'll come up with one.
You should ask him if we can do a Wisconsin Live Desk from Lambeau with him.
Oh, yeah.
That would be, I think that people would really like just 3 hours of us outside Lambeau.
I think so, too.
I think that could be, you know what we call those? A wild.
I was not listening to you. A brill was in my ear.
Got it. I was like, do you know what we call it when we go on trips together?
Wild field trips.
A wild field trip. That is right. Maybe that's what we'll do when we head off to Lambeau. Okay, I'm just trying to see if maybe we have that audio. I want to try it one more time because Hakeem Jeffries is still speaking. I'm wondering if they potentially fixed
Getting started.
They did. Okay, let's listen in here for a minute or two, and then we should be able to hear from a bro.
We're just getting started. Now, among the many outrageous things that has been said during the Trump Republican shutdown, or done during the Trump Republican shutdown, the longest shutdown in American history, is that Donald Trump made the stunning claim that in his mind, he holds two titles, that he has two positions. Donald Trump says that he's both the president and the Speaker of the House. That's what Donald Trump said in the midst of him shutting down the government. And what we've seen from compliant, sycophantic Republicans, corrupt House Republicans, is they continue to go along to get along. They don't function like a separate and co-equal branch of government. From the very beginning of this presidency and all the way through this Trump shutdown, Republicans in the House have continued to act like a wholly owned subsidiary of the corrupt Trump cartel. That may be the House Republican position. For damn sure, it ain't the House Democratic position. Because we know, and what we say to the American people is that we don't work for Donald Trump. We don't work for J.D. Vance. We don't work for your billionaire donors. We work for the American people. And that's what.
All right, we've been listening in there as Hakeem Jeffries gives an update before the House will vote later today on that government funding bill. Again, if you're just joining us, already passed the Senate. So if it most likely is looking like it will pass the House, then it would go to the desk of President Trump, which would reopen the government after the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. We did hear from Caroline Leavitt earlier in the hour. And despite a little bit of compromise, because obviously the bill has now passed the Senate, both sides remain kind of with their stance, blaming the other party for the government shutdown and for how long it took to reopen. We'll keep our eye on that kind of camera that's right outside the steps of the Capitol, and potentially we'll go back to that in just a little bit. But for now, I do want to bring in our very own Abril Preciado. She is reporting here in Milwaukee on an announcement that came out earlier today regarding a pretty important clinic that is shutting down. Abril, what can you tell us?
Hey, how's it going, Haley? So right now we're outside of the Keenan Health Center here in Milwaukee, and the reason we're kind of giving you guys like this background view that I'm showing you guys right now is because the city tells us that this is a very busy clinic. Right now it's pretty, I guess it's pretty calm right now, not too much traffic, I could assume because of the lunch hour. But yeah, once again, as explained, it's one of their busiest clinics, and it's also one that is being impacted right now with their inside of their building, inside of their STI clinic. Right now, the city is telling us that it is closing indefinitely because they are seeing they are experiencing shortage of staff. They are in need of more nurses to help. They need a total of 20 full-time staffers in that specific clinic inside of this building to be able to handle patients and take care of them and meet their needs right now. And so right now, well, from what the city was telling us during a press conference just this morning, they were telling us that, you know, they're hiring, they're looking for nurses, they're looking to fill up at least 5 vacancies right now that they told us, at least at this time, nursing vacancies really, to help them out and keep that specific clinic inside of this building open. Once again, as many people know, this specific health center runs many different departments, including WIC. Don't worry, if you guys are watching this, don't worry, that's still open as well as the other services that they provide here. It's just the STI clinic that is closed right now indefinitely, and it just closed as of today. They're hoping to provide, the city hopes to provide us with like an update on the status of it by Thanksgiving. Right now they're already pushing a lot of hiring events, recruitment events. They have one coming up, I believe they said on November 18th, another one on the I believe it's on the, I'll get you guys those days. I don't want to get them wrong, but they do have at least 3 recruitment events where they're going to be hiring. They also have them online, and they're really pushing for that. Something that was very much mentioned to us during the press conference is that they've been struggling with this for the past couple of, I believe over at least the past year, really, and they've been trying to find different solutions to work around it, but it gets tough. They tell us that just in the last year alone, they saw at least 9,000 patients come to that specific clinic, which goes to show you know, the demand that they see. And one specific thing that really struck to me just during the press conference is that they were telling us that, you know, regularly on a regular day basis, they regularly see about 30 patients, and they only have 2 nurses and staff. So you can just imagine how difficult that is. They mentioned burnt out with the staff that they had, and as well, and how they're trying to find new ways to really, you know, help have better control of that, but at the same time prevent that in the future, so the closure won't have to happen again. So that's why they're pushing for to fill up those vacancies that they have, to fill up those positions, so they're able to have their staff fully full and provide services for patients that are coming in. Just right now, we actually just spoke to a family that was coming in for the WIC services, and they were telling us that, yeah, every time that they come inside this building, it's usually really packed. So that just goes to show, like, I guess from a patient standpoint, like, it is busy, and it is a place that many people actually come to get different services, and obviously the STI clinic being one of them. But that's pretty much what we are seeing at this time. We did get a little glimpse of like what it's looking like right now. Obviously very empty inside that specific clinic, and the reason I keep saying that is because it's just one of the many services that they offer in this building inside of the Keenan Health Center. But that's pretty much what we have at this point. I know I'll continue to I'm still news gathering right now, but I'll provide a full report later on tonight regarding this, so you guys can get more information. If you guys are looking for a job or are interested, I'll provide that information, as well as, you know, what else the city is doing to make sure that these services continue here, because that's their push, to make sure that those services continue inside the Keenan Health Center.
Yeah, absolutely, Brill. I think that's some great clarification and a good reminder there that we're only talking about the STI clinic here at the Keenan Health Center that is temporarily closed. And I know the city was putting a strong emphasis on that this is temporary. They just don't know when it will be able to reopen. But as you talk about normally seeing 30 patients, obviously there was a demand there. Now there might be people who plan to go in who can't. Is there anywhere else that they can go to get their health care?
Yes, there's other locations that they're sending over patients, because based on what we were able to find out is that many of their patients are walk-ins. So they're usually getting told to go to other of their locations. I don't have the specific locations right now, but you can find them if you guys are watching this and we're thinking about coming out here. You can find those locations on the city website. We will also have them on our Fox Local app available. But there's other locations right now. Just this one right here at the Keenan Health Center will be temporarily closed as of today.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have already all those locations actually on fox6now.com and inside our Fox Local in this story, Abril, so we're all covered there. When we talk about these shortages, you mentioned some recruitment kind of events that they're doing. Is there any other ideas that the city has to fix this staffing shortage?
Yes, I mean they're blowing it all out really much. I mean they're blowing it out. They're pushing it out, I would say. I should say. I know they mentioned that they posted some of the listings on social media, like Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. People can also email, and they're trying so hard to fill up those positions that they're even open to meet up with people that are interested even during the weekends, to make sure that they're able to fill them up, because once again the service is very much needed, as they just looking at the numbers that they shared with us with the number of patients that they see regularly. So it is definitely something that they definitely emphasize that they want to have ready, and obviously at the same time also make sure that all of their staff feels like they're being supported at the same time, because that's another thing that they emphasize. They want to make sure that everyone feels supported, everyone is taking their breaks, because they did mention with a high volume of people, shortness of staff, things got tight, and some of them didn't even take a lunch break because of their commitment to helping out people that were coming in to seek their help. And so they really want to make sure that they also are addressing that and make sure that doesn't happen again, based on what they told us during the press conference. And so they're working on new ways just to make sure that things are better, and they have everything regulated in every aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Big news coming out of Milwaukee today, so I'm glad that you are getting us all the information we need to know about this temporary closure of the STI clinic there. We know you're still news gathering, so we'll let you go, and we'll wait for your full story later today on Fox Local. Thanks, Abril.
Yes, thank you guys.
Of course. And again, if you have any questions about where you can go in the meantime, all of those other alternative locations are already on our Fox Local app, which maybe is how you're watching us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk right now, as well as already on fox6now.com. So just find the story talking about that temporary closure. Once you click inside of it, at the very bottom are all the other places you can go with their addresses, their hours of operation. We've got everything that you would need right there at your fingertips. We are monitoring on our feeds the potential appearance of Senator Tammy Baldwin. So when she shows up, we're going to bring that to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. She would also be talking about the government shutdown and kind of her latest thoughts and feelings. But for now, we are going to just take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, because we've only taken one, so we need to take another one here, and then we'll bring you some more live and local news. So stick with us.
Is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Wednesday afternoon, which I always want to keep checking my watch to make sure it's Wednesday because I'm questioning it. It's one of those weeks where I don't really know what day it is, but it is Wednesday, which means we're almost halfway through the work week, and we're almost halfway through my time on the Wisconsin Live Desk just today. If you missed our announcement yesterday, I'm going to bring Delaney, and I didn't tell her I was going to do this. I gave her a little warning. You get Delaney and I now basically 10 hours a week. You get Delaney more because she's here the third hour. But yeah, I will be here in the Wisconsin Live Desk Monday through Friday from 12:30 to 2:30, which Delaney is so happy about.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, well, she almost made me laugh coming back from break because she told me that I have to start learning how to make full screens. She said she needs a little help.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're going
you're-
to learn some of those.
I'll learn some of those. I'll try my best. We've been really busy working on getting just lots of good content for you guys here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. So we've both been busy, but I'll learn how to make a full screen, I guess, Delaney. Anything for Delaney.
Thank you.
You got it, girl. We are monitoring a few things here on the Wisconsin Live Desk right now. If you missed it before we headed to break, I was showing you this shot. We're waiting to hear from Senator Baldwin. So as you can see, our camera is up and ready. Our microphone is there at the podium. So we're just waiting for Senator Baldwin to come out and to speak. And when she does, we'll bring that to you right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Of course, she would be talking government shutdown, which is now in day 43. It's the longest in our country's history. She would have been a part of that Senate vote earlier this week that did ultimately get passed, which is why the House will now be voting later on today. Otherwise, happening now in D.C., we were hearing from some lawmakers, Democrat lawmakers who are talking government shutdown from the House before they go ahead and vote later today. We heard from Hakeem Jeffries, so let's listen back in together and see what we can learn.
Double. And this is in a district where the individual median income is just north of $32,000. I have 13 counties in my district. 10 of them either do not have a hospital because it has recently closed, or their hospital is on literal life support and they have to go to a county commission or a city council every single month to make payroll. And the largest hospital in Montgomery, Alabama, the state's capital, is in the midst of a bankruptcy and also facing risk of closure. And this all in a state that has the third lowest life expectancy in the United States of America. So healthcare for us is not a talking point. Healthcare for us is, protecting healthcare for us is a requisite. It's a requirement. It's something we have to do. And if you ask us if the shutdown was worth it, I say, hell yes, it was worth it. Because fighting to maintain health care for American people, there's nothing more pure than that. There's no more important role that we have here as members of Congress than to ensure the health care of the American people. And so while the failure of Republicans to do anything to protect health care is truly disappointing, I want the world to know that my Democratic colleagues here in the House, they can ride with me in any battle I face in my life. They stood with us under the leadership of Hakeem Jeffries to make sure that we kept this front and center. And I look forward to remaining committed to this fight for all of Alabama and for all of America. And with that, turn it back over to our leader, future Speaker Jeffries.
I want to thank all of our distinguished colleagues who spoke so powerfully and eloquently about the nature of this fight that we continue to wage on behalf of the American people. And these are first-term members of Congress. But they recognize that as Democrats, we stand on the shoulders of many who, decade after decade, century into century, have always fought to make life better for everyday Americans and to protect the health care and enhance the health care of the American people. That's the continuing and enduring legacy of the Democratic Party. FDR fought for it. Truman fought for it. JFK fought for it. LBJ fought for it. Carter fought for it. Clinton fought for it. Barack Obama fought for it. Biden fought for it. And no one fought harder in the House of Representatives than our Speaker Emerita, Nancy D'Alessandro Pelosi. That's in the DNA of the Democratic Party. From FDR to Nancy Pelosi to these first-term members. And so our promise to the American people is that we are in this fight until we win this fight for all of you. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
All right, if you're just joining us, we were listening there as House Democrats were speaking ahead of the vote, which is expected later on today, early this evening, that would potentially and most likely refund the government to have it reopen after being shut down now for 43 days. Of course, a lot of Democrats there talking about how they will not end their fight for health care despite most likely this bill passing. And also, you heard Hakeem Jeffries right there say that he does not consider this shutdown to be a failure, even though they didn't necessarily get the outcome that they wanted on that side. Still very proud, he said, of himself and his party and what they stood for. So we are going to keep our eye out and see if any other lawmakers, maybe some Republican House lawmakers, do decide to speak. And if they do, of course, we will bring that to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, because we do like to bring you both sides on any sort of a political issue, including the government shutdown, which we know has been a very divisive topic between Republicans and Democrats. Again, we are waiting to hear from our very own Wisconsin lawmaker, our Senator Tammy Baldwin. We have our camera and our crew ready to go, where she's expected to speak in a little bit. And when she does take to that podium, we will bring that to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Otherwise, we've got some other things that we're working on. We're going to hear from TVV later on in the hour. We're going to head to Lambeau. We're going to do Question of the Day, which I'm very excited about. And Delaney, I think that we should really celebrate today's Question of the Day by going out after work, because it's National Happy Hour Day.
I know, we should.
What's a good happy hour spot in Wauwatosa?
Jose's Blue Sombrero is good.
That's what I was going to say. I've actually been to happy hour there, and they've got a really good drink. I don't know what they call it there, but it's a frozen margarita and frozen sangria together. It might be like the Tornado.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what, though? We have a break coming up right here where I can look up what it is, and then I'll be all ready to go for Question of the Day when we get back.
Sounds like a plan.
So you know what time for you to do.
We'll be back after this short break.
She crushed it.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I think I actually cut our intro short a little bit because this event did start. Oh, it's frozen. Oh no. We might not be able to have this. Oh, it's back. Okay, this is Tammy Baldwin. You can see is sitting to the side here. So we're going to go ahead and listen in to this press conference happening live right now.
Whose lives have been impacted by access to affordable health care coverage. Their voices remind us of why this is so important to our community. We're grateful to have Senator here for her continued leadership and advocacy in ensuring that the health care remains a right, not a privilege. And we thank our partners, patients, and staff who make this mission possible every day. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Senator Tammy Baldwin to the podium.
Thank you. So I am grateful, Julia Harris Robinson, for once again you're opening the doors of Outreach Community Health Centers for an important forum on healthcare affordability. And so thank you for your warm words of welcome and for having all of us here today. I also want to thank Nancy and Erica, who you will hear from momentarily, for being willing to share their stories and be a part of this fight with me. The fight for affordable health care is what inspired me to get into public service in the first place. And it is still to this day what drives me. There have been times that this debate has taken back seat in our public discourse, and there are times like right now where it is center stage. But for working families, it is always top of mind. This is a health and wellness issue. This is an affordability and cost of living issue, and this is a quality of life and dignity issue, and it touches every single one of us. Now, right now, I am glad that the cost of health care is getting so much attention, not for some political reason, but because we need to give it more attention and provide more solutions. I will be the first to say that we have a broken system that prioritizes profits over patients. What we need to do is build on our successes, not go backwards. The Affordable Care Act, which I was proud to help write as a member of the House of Representatives, has been a big step forward in expanding access to health care. Fortunately, we have also built on that success by giving families and small businesses, farmers, entrepreneurs, and hardworking Wisconsinites a bigger tax break when they get their health care. This is the Enhanced Premium Tax Credit. These tax credits, the policy that makes premiums more affordable for 22 million Americans, are being taken away next year. And that is what is at the center of the government shutdown and debate in Washington, D.C. We know the impact of taking away these tax breaks. For 275,000 Wisconsinites, their health care costs will double, triple, or even more. For 30,000 Wisconsinites, they predict the price will be too high and that those Wisconsinites will go without insurance altogether. And that's why I've been upfront and very vocal that I would work with anyone, Democrat, Republican, Independent, to reopen government and lower Americans' health care costs. But I wasn't going to settle for anything less. I wasn't going to settle for less for small business owners like Teresa in Milwaukee County. She's a metastatic breast cancer patient and relies on these tax credits to afford health insurance and get the screenings that she needs. I wasn't going to settle for less for Wisconsin farmers like Phil, who already faces so much uncertainty as a soybean farmer. The last thing he needs is his health care costs costing him hundreds of dollars more per month. And I wasn't going to settle for less for Nancy or for Erica. But because behind every one of the 275,000 Wisconsinites who rely on these tax credits. There's a story. There's a family who has put together a budget, who has hard decisions ahead of them of what they can afford for their family next year. Some are logging into healthcare.gov right now and finding that they simply cannot afford their insurance for next year. And to me, that is unconscionable. I said the entire time that a handshake deal with my Republican colleagues to reopen the government and no real action to lower health care costs was simply not good enough. The people I work for need more than that. They need health care that they can afford, not a symbolic vote in the middle of December. So I voted against the bill in front of the Senate this week. Before the final vote, I forced a vote on my amendment to extend these tax credits. It wasn't everything I think we should do. It was only 1 year. It was certainly a compromise. It was a path to avoid catastrophe for families across Wisconsin and give folks some breathing room while we negotiate longer-term solutions. They chose to vote no. Every single Republican voted no on my amendment. They chose to send a clear, unmistakable message that they are okay with jacking up healthcare costs on 22 million Americans. Well, I am not. So today, I stand here ready to continue this fight. Our work to lower healthcare costs for Wisconsin families is not done, and I'm surely not throwing in the towel. And with that, I want to hand it over to Nancy so that she can share her story about how the Affordable Care Act affects her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting me share my story. I'm a freelance writer, editor, author, ghostwriter, book publishing consultant, and developmental editor. It is not a career that has you working within a company. This type of work is always done freelance, so I'm an independent contractor and have been for 30-odd years. I took a look at healthcare.gov. I was paying $372 a month for a bronze plan, the lowest level plan, with a $7,500 individual deductible. And my new price is based on a different health insurance company, because my health insurance company that I've been with since the beginning of the ACA, Common Ground, was nonprofit, and it pulled out of the Milwaukee area because they couldn't make the math work. So to get the equivalent plan, HSA, $7,500 deductible, bronze plan, $1,165. That is triple what I was paying. This is not the first time my health care took a big spike. Back before the ACA, I forget if this was the late 90s or the early 2000s. I was living in New York City and my premium spiked 50%. So I went to a meeting and I found out about the premium death spiral. So the premium death spiral is the more you raise the price, the more people drop out of the pool, which means they have to raise the price, which means more people drop out of the pool. And it goes on and on and on. If you're not a freelancer and you weren't paying attention back in that era, or you weren't paying attention now, you don't realize that you're going to be affected. It's not just my health insurance that's going to go up. It's everybody's, right? We're all in this together. I'm 63. I'm literally counting the weeks until Medicare because
all right, if you are just joining us, we were listening on this press conference that Senator Baldwin is at as she talks about the government shutdown and really her fight for health care. Of course, for Democrats, having affordable health care continued, and it was a big reason why they weren't voting for this bill. They said they needed that to be included in order to get something to pass. obviously day 43 now. Some Democrats did decide to just go ahead and reopen the government to not risk any funding potentially lapsing for things like SNAP and WIC. So this is now some Democrats, whether that be senators like Senator Baldwin or the House leaders we heard from before, talking about their continued fight for health care. And despite the government most likely reopening again, it still needs to pass the House. That vote will happen later on today. These lawmakers saying they'll continue to fight for health care and making sure it's affordable. We were hearing right there from one woman on her story for health care, Medicare, Medicaid, and what she needed and the cost that was associated for her. Our very own Jason Calvi is at that press conference. He is working on a story talking to both Senator Baldwin as well as Representative Tiffany. So make sure and stay tuned as he gets both sides on the government shutdown from lawmakers right here in Wisconsin. That will come up later today. You can find his story, of course, here on Fox Local when he does that in our afternoon newscasts. All right, we're going to take a quick break right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and then we will be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk, where it is 1:45 on the dot this Wednesday afternoon. We have been covering a lot of news this first kind of hour or so, and we've got a lot more news coming up because we're, of course, here till 3:30 on the Wisconsin Live Desk. You've got me for 45 more minutes, and then Ted Perry will get you through that final hour of today's Wisconsin Live Desk. I want to go ahead and take another live look outside. This is from our Estabrook camera, where I love this view of just Lake Michigan. Beautiful right there in the distance. You can see it shaking a little bit, though, so it continues to be a little bit of a windy one out there, but much nicer temperatures, in my opinion, to what we were looking at this time yesterday. And we should have those warmer temps, it sounds like, through the weekend, which I am grateful for because it's November 12th and I wasn't ready for the nonstop frigid Wisconsin temperatures just yet. I will say I was hearing from our Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell earlier today in our morning meeting, and he talked about how the last several winters have been above average. So having an average winter, which he was expecting, is going to feel brutal. And I said, oh no, because I've been gone the last 3 winters from Wisconsin. And I was in the south. So I was like, I got to ease myself back into those cold temperatures. And I'm going to come back and it's going to be apparently a little bit of a culture shock for me. But that's okay because I was born and raised in the Midwest. So I'm sure that all of those qualities will come back to me and I can get just through the winter. And even if I don't, I'm sure Delaney will help me through with her positive attitude. silence.
I think you'll get through it. It is a big difference, though, coming from the South.
I know, but I'm also hoping that because I was only there for 3 years, that hopefully it's not like I changed too much. But they always say your blood thins when you live in the warmer temperatures, whereas your blood's thicker in cold. So I'm like, you guys better get thick again because I am not ready.
No, I don't think anyone's ever ready.
No,
for the
that's
super
true.
cold.
And I do love the winter looks. Like I love having a beanie on. I love the gloves and the coats and love a good Ugg boot. So hopefully now I can actually start wearing that stuff again.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you get to wear it, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm wearing some Uggs right now, actually, in case you were wondering. Love a good Ugg. Should we talk question of the day?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we talked about it a little bit before we got to Tammy Baldwin, but it's National Happy Hour Day. So my question for you is questions. When it comes to happy hour, what is your favorite drink to order and what is your favorite appetizer to order? Because you got to have both.
Ooh, for a drink, I like a mule.
Yum, okay.
And then appetizer, I like a few. I like cheese curds. I also like spinach artichoke dip.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
So my drink of choice for the last 3 years is an espresso martini, but I would argue you don't usually find espresso martinis on a happy hour menu. So then I usually go with a margarita because I do love a good marg. I forget how much I love a Moscow Mule though. I think that that's an underrated drink.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I, for instance, was at that rehearsal dinner, and I got an espresso martini to start. This particular restaurant makes them very creamy, so I was like, okay, I don't want to have another one after this. So then I switched to wine, but then I saw somebody have a Moscow Mule delivered, and I was like, oh, I should have done that.
Yeah.
So that's a great choice.
It is a good choice.
For appetizers, I think for happy hour, I want just freshly made guacamole. I love some chips and guac.
That's always good.
Yeah, or a cheese plate. But again, I don't really know if that's a happy hour thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if anyone's ever like, oh, the charcuterie is $10 off, I'd buy that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Cheese curds is very Wisconsin of you.
It is.
We got appetizers one time and you never got the spinach artichoke dip.
No, I don't know if they had it.
I think that Bucket Hoppin' did.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't remember.
We got, though, really good Brussels sprouts.
Yeah. Those were good.
Yeah. All right, you've prepared a true or false question. What? I'm already, sorry guys, I was reading it before I pulled it up. Happy hour got its start with the U.S. Navy? Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. This is so random. It's going to be true, and I need to know, although it could be the Army and she's trying to get us. Sometimes when I watch or walk through my thoughts, I watch Delaney's face just to see if she's going to give. She doesn't. I'm going to go true.
This one is true. As back as 1914. Came
Okay.
after a busy day. It helped boost their morale with the dancing and drinking.
So happy hour back then for them was a time to go and drink and dance.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right?
I do love that we took something that the Navy was doing and said, let's just go get snacks and drinks and call it happy hour as well.
Right?
Which is very on brand.
It is.
I love that. Okay, what's your favorite spot to get happy hour here in Wisconsin? I was asking Nicola this, one of our wake up anchors, because I'm obviously still relatively new. I've been here about 3 months, still trying to find all my spots. Any recommendations for a good happy hour?
I know I haven't been in a while. I do like Jose's Blue Sombrero. I also like the Outsider. That's always fun.
Where's that?
That's the rooftop on the Journeyman.
Oh, okay, that's embarrassing. I was thinking that sounds familiar. Yeah, I've been there. The Journeyman the Outsider has a coffee drink that's on their menu. So good. Technically not an espresso martini, but it's a tiramisu.
Oh,
Coffee,
that sounds good.
So good. And then I got their whipped ricotta. So good. That's a great point.
Yeah.
If you're ever in 3rd Ward, I guess hop over there. On Friday we're talking to Skylight Theater because they're starting their next show, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and that's in 3rd Ward. 3rd Ward. I don't know why I can't talk right now, you guys. So I would always recommend going to the Outsiders, getting a drink, getting a little nibble, then going and seeing a show. Although I'm going to guess the outside part might be closed now. I wonder what they do in winter. I'll have to ask Delaney at some point. I wonder if they like cover it or if it's just a lot of fire pits or if it's just closed. Delaney, do you know this?
For what?
She said, I have not been listening. The Outsiders, does the outside stay open during the winter, or do you know if they close it?
I think they close part of it.
Okay.
And then they have like fire pits in another area.
Yeah, that's so nice. We'll have to take a wild field trip so that we can do our research and know.
We'll have to go.
We'll have to go. Do you have time for another question?
Yeah, we can do another quick one.
Okay. I want to pull up this picture of the Northern Lights that James H. sent us from Waukesha last night. Delaney, did you see the Northern Lights?
I didn't. My sister sent us a really cool picture of
From
them from
Colorado?
Utah.
Oh.
She's in Utah right now.
In Utah, okay.
But I didn't see them here. Did you?
I did not. So I think that it's unfair when these things happen so late at night because I'm sleeping through them. And I would love to see the Northern Lights because this looks stunning. And it's crazy that this was taken here in Wisconsin.
I know.
Like, no longer do you have to go to Iceland. I feel like in the last 2 years, there's been a lot of opportunities to see the Northern Lights. So hopefully one time it will work with my schedule so that I can finally see them because I just think that they are truly so pretty. And if not, I guess I'll just have to take a quick trip to Iceland. Hey, I want to switch gears a little bit because Tammy Baldwin, Senator Baldwin, is back at the podium. It looks like she might be answering questions from members of the media. Oh, you guys, that's always what happens to us. We always have the worst luck here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. She actually just finished, it looks like, taking questions from members of the media. But have no fear, because our crew was there. Jason Calvi's there. He will have the full recap on everything she said later on Fox Local. All right, so we are going to take then a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and then we'll be back in just 2 minutes. Stick with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are working on a few things for you. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to get the latest on the government shutdown and really how this is impacting flights, which we know can be such a big headache, especially as we head into the holiday season. I know a lot of people tend to take to the skies for Thanksgiving and Christmas travel, And despite the government most likely reopening here soon, how long will we see these flight delays and cancellations till we get back to normal? So we're going to have the latest on that coming up in just a little bit. Again, we also are anticipating hearing from Tim Van Voren out of Green Bay with the latest with the Packers as they get ready to also hit the road. They're going to take on the New York Giants come Sunday, which again, that game is on Fox 6, but Tim Van Voren will give us everything we need to know there. So while we wait for those two items to kind of pop up on the feed, I do want to take us to California, where this press conference is happening right now, giving the kind of the latest on immigration and what this means for some in-home care workers providing care to elderly residents out of San Jose, California. So let's listen in here together for a little bit.
Ako rin ang nagpapakain, naglalakad sa aso at naglilinis ng litter box ng pusa, walang bayad din yon. Bagaman sinasabi sa job description na light housekeeping lamang, hindi totoo iyon. Kadalasan ay buong bahay ang kailangang linisin, ipaglaba ang buong pamilya, magluto at maglinis ng kusina. Ang ilan sa mga kakilala kong caregiver ay pinapalinis at pinangangalagaan pa ng swimming pool at ng...
All right, I think that she might be translating. Obviously, right now we can't quite hear her there. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and then we'll work on getting you that story coming out of Atlanta. So stick with us. Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Time check for you right now is 2 p.m. this Wednesday afternoon, which means I've got about another half an hour with you here. And then, of course, Ted Perry will take over at 2:30 and get you guys to 3:30. Big discussion on the Wisconsin Live Desk today has been the government shutdown, especially as we now wait for the House to vote on the bill. The Senate has already passed to potentially reopen the government, which is now in its longest government shutdown in U.S. history. A big talking point came out Friday where 40 major U.S. airports were told they needed to cut back their traffic by 10%. I do want to take a quick live look here at Mitchell International Airport in Milwaukee, which was not one of those airports, but of course, a lot of times you might fly out of Mitchell and go to a big hub airport, and that's where you might see your travel plans be in a little bit of disarray. And joining us actually live right now here on the Wisconsin Live Desk is our multimedia reporter, Chelsea Torres. She's in Atlanta, a huge airport. Chelsea, I'm curious, what do flight delays and cancellations look like today?
Well, Haley, I mean, you can see, flights kind of taking off behind me. As of now, FlightAware is showing nearly 1,200 delays across the country and nearly 900 cancellations. And I'll tell you, every time we look at that number, it's rising. And it's just been like that every single day since these flight reductions happened. I mean, we started with 4% on last Friday. Just yesterday, they bumped it up to 6% reductions. And then as of now, depending on what the government does, whether it opens, whether it takes a little bit more time to reopen, the FAA and Secretary Sean Duffy has said, Transportation Secretary Duffy has said that right now that number to move up to 10% reduction is still going to happen on Friday. And one thing that he said, Haley, that I think is very interesting is that he almost seems pretty worried and concerned because he says there will be major disruptions to flights, all air travel, starting on Friday and through the weekend.
That's a great point, Chelsea, to bring up what we've heard from Secretary Duffy, because I think a lot of people are getting optimistic that the government is going to reopen, but it sounds like even if that happens, these problems with the flights and cancellations and delays, they're not going to go away overnight. Has he provided any sort of a timeline to when things might return to normal?
The timeline, I think, is the hardest thing for a lot of, especially for Secretary Duffy to kind of come up and come up with, as well as the FAA, and then even trade groups like Airlines for America. They've mentioned, even if the government does reopen, it's going to take a while. And you have to think about, okay, well, why would it take a while? You have to think about all of those airlines that have to put those flights back up for booking, get all of that back into a schedule so they can actually get travelers where they need to go. But not only that, you have to have all these air traffic controllers get back to work. Now, that's really the main point here, and this is kind of the underlying foundation, is that it's because a lot of these air traffic controllers, which, mind you, the agency, FAA, was already short-staffed beforehand, or I should say the Department of Transportation was already short-staffed on air traffic controllers before the shutdown. Then you have the shutdown, and these guys have not been getting paid now for 43 days. And so a lot of them were calling into work, taking side jobs, finding other means so that way they could put food on the table for their families, which, of course, I think any American, any regular person that's not getting paid for that long completely understands that. But then when you have to do that, the data from the FAA, they said, you know what, we're going to have to go ahead and cut down some of that flight traffic, and that's what they've been doing. And so the fortunate part about this, if there is some sort of silver lining, is that the hope is that the government does reopen, and that Secretary Duffy has said that he's noticed in the past few days more air traffic controllers are going back to work despite not getting a paycheck. But again, I mean, even if we were to reopen, you still have to wait for everything to be fully staffed, and it's going to take some time for that to happen.
Yeah, when you talk about it's going to take some time, I'm sure a lot of people are looking at their calendar right now, Chelsea, thinking, oh, Thanksgiving is coming up, Christmas is coming up, I have holiday travel plans. Is there any sort of advice for anybody who has already booked a flight or anything they can do as they get ready for the holidays?
I think that's the biggest question all of us have right now. Secretary Duffy was talking at Chicago O'Hare Airport yesterday, and he brought that up. He said, really, that is his biggest question, too. What does that look like? And from what he was saying, it doesn't seem like he has a clear answer. Now, I'll tell you, going back to that one trade group, Airlines for America, they were saying that all of the airlines have not canceled any Thanksgiving flights, and that they're taking these FAA restrictions day by day, moment by moment. So for them, they said, the Airlines for America trade group, they did say that as of right now, it looks like things should be okay. But again, they're taking it day by day. He said no Thanksgiving flights have been canceled. But again, we're just about 2 weeks away from the busiest travel time of the year. I think one thing a lot of people I talked to today, they were telling me how they were constantly checking their flights to see what things would look like today as they were flying in or flying out. And I think that's the best thing to do. Just constantly checking your flights to see if there's going to be any changes. So hopefully you can make changes ahead of time before you're with family.
Yeah, a little bit of positive news that's right now nothing's been canceled for Thanksgiving. Obviously, that could change as we get closer. I would imagine maybe you should start thinking of a backup plan as well. You drive instead of fly if you have to. But Chelsea, if anybody's watching right now and their flight for, let's say, tomorrow has just been canceled, what do you do if you get that notification?
So fortunately, if you do have a flight that's been canceled or delayed, you should get that notification right away from the airlines. And I feel like all of the airlines, from what I've been hearing from passengers, flyers, as well as just seeing what the airlines are saying, they're trying to let people know well ahead of time if they're going to get delayed or if they're going to get canceled. Now, if they are canceled, they will automatically be rebooked. A lot of the airlines, including Delta and American, that I've seen firsthand, is that they've said even if your flight is not impacted, you can still get a full refund without penalty. So for anybody right now, if you think, you know what, I'd rather just drive, maybe take the Amtrak, maybe take some other means of transportation instead of flying, just to be sure, you can get that refund during this time and not get any penalty. But of course, I would go ahead and look at your airline that you're flying with and see kind of what they say, and you can definitely find out some more information through them, but it seems like it's been those rules across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of very helpful information in an ever-changing situation that's causing a lot of headache for people traveling. So we appreciate you so much, Chelsea, for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thank you, Haley. Good talking to you.
Absolutely. All right. Also, I had just traveled, actually, you guys, a couple of weeks ago, and what Chelsea was saying is so true. I think a lot of people are thinking this is impacting TSA agents, and so to plan ahead, because it's security that's going to take you so long, this has really impacted more those air traffic controllers. So for me, I quickly got through security. Thankfully, all of my flights took off, but it's once I sat in the plane where I realized, oh, here's where the delay is going to come, because you make your way to the runway, and where you're normally maybe plane 2 or 3, because there's multiple runways open at these big airports, now they've had to condense down to maybe 1, maybe 2 runways. So I was in a plane in Orlando that was number 14 in line to take off, which takes a lot of time, because you're not just taking off, you're also waiting for planes to land. Took about an hour until I was able to take off, which is why part of these flights are now getting canceled as they try to minimize that time you're on the runway, but definitely a big headache. And what Chelsea brought up is so true too. You can't fault these air traffic controllers for, calling out of work. They've now gone 2 full paychecks without receiving pay, which if you live paycheck to paycheck, you can't put food on your table anymore. We don't know the needs of their families, and so it makes sense why a lot of them have started to call out. Again, every shift that they have worked since the government did shut down, they will receive back pay for, but they don't get that until the government is funded, which is again why we are paying such close attention to DC today and kind of the latest that is coming out of the government shutdown. I'm going to take another live look here at the Capitol building there, as of course we are waiting for the House to vote. That vote's expected early this afternoon, early this evening, and it does look like it should pass, which then would go to President Trump's desk and would reopen the government. So you can trust us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and of course Fox Local and Fox 6 to bring you that breaking news if and when that vote happens later on today. We've certainly been covering this very closely the last 43 days, and we will continue to do so. All right, we are going to get ready to talk to CVV in a little bit, but for now we're going to just take another quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Stick with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Getting down to the wire here. My last couple of minutes with you guys before Ted Perry takes over. If you were joining us just before we took our break, we were talking to our multimedia reporter, Chelsea Torres, who is in Atlanta at Hartsfield International Airport, which I don't want to say and be wrong, but I believe that is still now the busiest airport in the world. They get a lot of traffic. It's a big Delta hub, so a lot of flights tend to go there and connect to their ultimate and final destination. I know I was saying at Mitchell International Airport, we don't necessarily see those flight delays and cancellations that we have to make according to the FAA. We're not one of the 40 major U.S. airports, but I have flown from Mitchell to Atlanta and then ultimately to my final destination, so I'm sure a lot of people do that. So good to hear kind of the update, which sounds like the troubles in the skies might be sticking around for a little bit longer, even if the government does reopen, which I was going to show you. We can see here the House is in recess right now, so we are waiting for them to come back into session. That's when they are supposed to take a vote later today that would potentially reopen the government. I know we've talked about it quite a bit here on the Wisconsin Live Desk today, but that's just because this is truly such a big news story. I mean, this is day 43 of the government shutdown, and we've seen the impacts. We've seen, SNAP funding. We've seen people worried about their WIC funding. We've seen it with traveling, with those TSA agents and those air traffic controllers, and we have potentially seen the first couple of steps to reopen the government now with the Senate passing that funding bill earlier this week, and now it goes to the House, which again is looking like, with all the votes that they have, should pass, which would then ultimately go to President Trump's desk, which he has indicated that he would go ahead and sign that bill, which would reopen the government there. I do want to take another live look right here. This is here in Milwaukee, where we're taking a live look at AmFam, which makes me a little sad, you guys. I kind of miss baseball, even though it hasn't been that long without it. As you know, I'm a huge baseball girl. I love, not this team, but I don't hate this team. I love the Chicago Cubs, which I know was a little bit contentious there with the NLDS, but you guys won, so you guys get the last laugh there. But yeah, I'm getting ready and excited for, hopefully February will be here before we know it, and that's of course spring training, and then we'll be back to baseball. But in the meantime, if you're a baseball fan who needs their sports fix, you got lots of options. You got the Milwaukee Bucks, or you've got these guys, the Green Bay Packers, taking a live look right there at Lambeau, where they're getting ready to take on the New York Giants next. And I think pretty soon we're going to be joined by Tim Van Voren, our sports director. Oh, I'm getting the thumbs up. He's ready. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Hey, Tim, how are you doing today?
All right, Haley, how about yourself? We're at Lambeau Field for a Wednesday practice after a short week. The Packers having played on Monday night, of course, and now they'll be on the road against the Giants coming up on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, let's start by talking about Monday night, which, I mean, what happened there? Very low-scoring game, and unfortunately, back-to-back losses now for the Green Bay Packers.
Back-to-back low-scoring losses, trouble with the offense for the second consecutive game, Haley, and that's really been the story of the Packers' struggles this season. They have 3 losses this year. In those 3 losses, they've scored a combined 30 points. The Detroit Lions are capable of scoring, and they do score 30 points in a half. So you can't compete with that type of offensive performance. The Packers know that. Matt LaFleur just talking with the media here within the last few minutes and saying, we just nobody's more frustrated than he is in trying to get this thing straightened out. So the pressure is on the offense for sure in Green Bay. And this week against the New York Giants, it could be a feel-good game, but we haven't seen a lot of those feel-good games of late, Haley. Monday night certainly was a disappointment on that side of the ball. The defensive players in the locker room saying, look, we win or lose as a team. We just got to love up those guys. We're in this together. But, certainly privately, frustration, no finger pointing, but frustration about where the team is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I've asked you this before, but I mean, how do we fix these consistency issues with the offense that clearly are continuing to plague us a little bit?
Mistakes is what the players will point to and the coaches will point to. These illegal formation, illegal motion penalties. The Packers would get a gainer, and then the play's called back on a penalty. That's obviously it's bad in the situation. It's also deflating. You think you figured something out, you called the right play for a situation, you've got something going down the field, and then you're backed up. So you have more yards to have to gain on the next play. It all kind of builds upon each other. So that's probably the biggest way you could get better. The best teams are usually pretty consistent. They don't make the simple mistakes, particularly the missed assignment mistakes, the alignment mistakes, the guys in the wrong place, guys on the wrong snap count. Minnesota, for instance, had 8 false starts this past week in a home game. You're shooting yourselves in the foot. That was a relatively close game. So, I've often said, Haley, teams win in the NFL, sure, but more often than not, teams lose in the NFL. They beat themselves. It's a bad turnover. It's the mistakes. It's the inconsistency. Last couple of weeks, I think the Packers are venturing into that beat yourself category.
Yeah, so you're at Lambeau right now. I'm not sure where you are. I see the locker room sign behind you, so somewhere behind the scenes here. But I'm curious, what's kind of the vibe and the energy like there today now, a few days off the loss, back-to-back losses, as we now get ready to take on the Giants?
Yeah, I would say the vibe is hopeful. The Packers, if the playoffs started right now, they would be in the playoffs. They'd be the 7th seed, so they've really tumbled in the last couple of weeks, but they would still be in the playoffs. And because of that, they realize they still have plenty of things to play for this season. Maybe they can move back up through the NFC standings, even though they have challenging games awaiting. They've won some games this season, or you'd say they definitely can pick up against a solid team. So, what's the vibe? It's generally hopeful. I wouldn't go beyond that. I think, as I said, there's frustration, evident frustration in the locker room the other day. I think the defense is a little wary right now. What's the special teams going to do this week? What's the offense going to do this week? Jordan Love and the offense, well, they have to be thinking, what are we going to do this week? Can we block? Are our guys on the offensive line going to be able to open anything up? Those offensive linemen, they've lost Elton Jenkins now, a veteran leader, even though he wasn't having the best year. So now it's, these 5 guys, they're going to have to look in the mirror and see if they can get more production out of their unit. Matt LaFleur saying today, Haley, it's 5 guys. It's 5 individual guys, but it's really one unit on that offensive line. And if somebody's out of sync, the whole unit goes down. So there are a lot of areas where guys could be looking in the mirror and saying, it's up to me. We can do better. It's just a matter of, can they go out there and execute it? And some of the players the other night after the game were saying, terrific to talk about it, but we have to actually do something about it. And we'll have access to the locker room coming up a little bit later today, get in there and talk to some of the players. I'm curious to see how they have responded since that Monday night loss.
Yeah, you're talking a little bit there about Matt LaFleur, which I feel like after a lot of losses, or honestly in today's age, a singular loss, people always had to social media to complain. I've seen a lot of calls to fire Matt LaFleur. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's inevitable that's the speculation. That's where you're going to be. Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, both the general manager, both coming into this season with 1 year remaining on their contracts. They have not gotten contract extensions as yet. And Ed Policy, the new president, has publicly said he doesn't like lame duck situations. He doesn't want to go through, guys starting the final year of their contract. So that would seem to indicate this offseason is a big time for either an extension or the alternative of that. And, if you're the offensive-minded head coach, and as we talked about, your team has struggled offensively, and you've lost ground the last couple of weeks from being the number 1 seed in the NFC to the number 7 seed in the NFC, criticism is going to come your way. Matt LaFleur knows that. He was talking about that today. He certainly has been in the NFL long enough to know, and Haley, as you're alluding to today, and, sports in general, there are a lot of quick reactions, maybe quicker than they used to be. So everybody understands that, including the guys involved. I definitely think Matt LaFleur is coaching for his job. He can't erase these 3, poor offensive performances this year, but they have 8 games ahead to go forward and make something happen and, change the legacies and change the direction of their own careers and this Packers franchise. I would mention, I'm not saying this team is going to do what the 2010 team did, but that Packer team was on the verge of not making the playoffs, Haley, got in as the last seed in the NFC, had to go on the road, won all the games, won the Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy's a Super Bowl winning head coach. His coaching staff, those guys are all Super Bowl winners. They all stayed together in Green Bay for another 8 years. So, what looks one way in November is not necessarily the way things will look in January. But if the Packers don't change what's happening here in November, you could speculate some of the things that could happen in January.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we're not out just yet. You know, I like the idea, stay hopeful, stay positive, which is the mindset we're going to have for Sunday, taking on the Giants. How do we beat them? Because I don't want to get excited looking at their record thinking 2-8, we've got this, because we saw that backfire a little bit with the Carolina Panthers. So what do we got to do on Sunday?
You're wise when you've lost to the Carolina Panthers and Cleveland Browns to not think anything is an automatic win. The Giants fired their coach this week, so they'll have an interim head coach who's never coached in the NFL before. They're starting Jameis Winston at quarterback. He hasn't played a game yet this year, so a whole lot of newness for the Giants. The last time the Packers were on the road to play the Giants, they lost to Tommy DeVito, so he was their quarterback. So nothing is a lock here for this Packers team. You certainly would think the law of averages and the talent on Green Bay's roster, they're due for the pendulum to swing back and for it to be a good game. But, the alternative to that is frustration sets in and guys aren't happy where things are going, and maybe, they can't get out of the rut that they are in. So, I would expect the Packers to win. Hey, guess what, Haley? I thought they'd beat Carolina. I thought they'd beat Cleveland. I didn't think they'd tie Dallas. So what does anybody know when you're handicapping these games? Kind of like you with your fantasy football team. Have you had Packers offensive players lately? I hope not, because they haven't been doing anything.
I'm excited you brought up my fantasy league, because I wanted to let you know, TVV, I did get the win this week. We did it. And the girl I played had 3 Packers players, so.
Well, there you go.
Wasn't the best for her, but I was pretty happy with the win. And I saw Joe Burrow had his first practice back, so I might be getting my quarterback back soon.
Right, and he's been very confident in his public comments, the Bengals quarterback who was hurt early in the season, that he's going to be back and he's going to make a difference. And, if he's back at Thanksgiving, the final month of the year in Cincinnati, they have a chance. So that's kind of where the NFL is these days. As long as you're kind of hanging around in the picture, you could go up or down just as the teams around you could go up or down. Right now you look at the NFC, the Rams look terrific. Seattle looks terrific. Detroit seems to be finding it again. Is that what's going to be the case in December? I don't know. So, that's partly why we watch every week and we ride the roller coaster with a team like the Packers, Haley.
That's right. And TVV, we should mention that we don't have to travel to see this game, because where can we watch the Packers play on Sunday?
Sunday, right there on Fox 6 with a noon kickoff. Now, speaking of travel, I hope those of us who are traveling to cover the game are able to get there. There's a lot going on in the transportation industry these days. But in terms of folks wanting to see the game, Sunday at noon on Fox 6, special edition of Fox 6 News right afterwards. So live reaction and analysis, and right on through the Fox 6 Sports Blitz Sunday night at 10:30 as always. So plenty of content coming your way. Live Packer action will be there. I certainly hope so, at least, Haley. We're excited about it. And this is a stretch now of 4 straight noon games coming up. All those people who said, I want that noon kickoff, I miss it. Well, here you go. Then this is the first of 4 straight scheduled noon kickoffs.
And we love to hear that. And we are excited to catch that game on Sunday. We're crossing our fingers that you make it, but I'm sure you will, because I'm putting out the energy. And we appreciate you, of course, joining us again on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Awesome, Haley. Always nice talking to you. Good luck to your fantasy team this week.
Thank you, TVV. I always try and make TVV proud these days. I feel like I'm playing fantasy for him, for Delaney. I want us to win so that we can have our Wisconsin Live Desk pizza party, which is what I said I would do if I win the league, you guys. I'm going to use that funds to get us a nice pizza party, which also, Delaney, we don't talk about it a lot, but I'm also in a picks league, which is different than fantasy. All I have to do is pick who I think is going to win each game the entire season. And I am currently in first place in my picks league, Delaney.
Yeah, you were saying that.
So I feel like I have the potential to not just win picks, but also fantasy, which then is double the jackpot. So then we're definitely doing pizza and ice cream sundaes.
Oh, for
sure. Is that what we said?
That's what we said, yeah.
You know
pizza
what?
And ice cream.
If I win both of those things, I'm actually going to argue that we can go, out to dinner.
Right?
Then we can go to Jose's and get a proper dinner. Even if it's not happy hour, we can just go there.
We can just go.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good. All right, I was going to see if there's anything on the feeds, but I'm not seeing anything too exciting. But we are excited because Ted Perry is in the wings. He's ready to take over here on the Wisconsin Live Desk to get you guys to 3:30, because of course we are live and local Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 3:30. You can tell it is near the end of my time here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. But hey, let's just pull up this picture of Lambeau. Watch kind of the cars drive by as we do our little switch over. It's been so nice getting to chat with you guys the last couple of hours. Ted's got you on the other side of this, and hopefully the Packers, they've got it on Sunday, and we'll take down the Giants. All right, we'll be back in just a little bit.
I forgot about that. Okay. I'm going to try to work on my lighting. Can I use your jacket?
Yeah.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hi, everybody. Ted Perry, 233 on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Sorry that we left you with a picture of Lambeau Field. Not that it's ever a bad thing to look at Lambeau Field as the Packers get ready to play here Sunday at Fox. Kickoff is at noon. They're not playing at Lambeau, though. Maybe that's a good thing because they played there the last 2 weekends. Things have not gone great, as we know. They go and they face the New York Giants this Sunday at Fox, and there's talk of Jameis Winston. Never mind. We'll get to that later. Let's talk news because Christina Van Zelst is standing by. She is on her way back from Madison or still in Madison. Let's get it right from her. And we're going to bring in Christina right here. Hold, please. There's Christina. Christina, your story today is a look back at an awful event that happened almost a year ago. Tell our viewers where you are now and what your story is.
Yeah, hey Ted. So we are driving back from Madison right now. We were at, and I apologize, I'm trying to figure out the lighting here. It's so sunny. But we're on the highway, so we are making do. But we're coming back from UW Health Children's Hospital in the emergency department there as those first responders are taking a look back. It's been almost a year since that school shooting at Abundant Life Christian School. And they're walking us through a year later, their response, what they're proud of, and just reflecting on that day in Madison. I think one of the biggest things that we heard from both of the emergency responders today was just how proud they are in their response. They told us this is something they trained for and they were ready. And the timing and the way that they executed their response, they tell us, was life-saving for some of the patients and kids that did show up there with several gunshot wounds. And of course, this was such a tragedy back in December of last year. There were 3 people who died in that shooting, several others injured. And at UW Health, there were, we talked with them about 2 patients, a 14-year-old at the time and a 17-year-old at the time, who had multiple gunshot wounds, and they are okay. One of them was released from UW Health in January. The other one is in a rehab facility in Chicago. But we talked with one of the first responders about how they were actually able to reunite with those victims once they were recovered, and that helped a lot of those first responders get some closure from the moments they first saw them, of course, when they were injured, and then just seeing them thriving and recovering meant a lot to those first responders. So we'll have more on their story, but that's what we're covering today. And I apologize with the sun. It is just not working in my favor here.
Look, the marvels of television now is that you can be driving on a car in a highway and still have a visual picture and audio with us. So please don't apologize for the lighting. You bring up a good point because I think people don't think about this. They think about the trauma of the victims, of course, and we should. They think about the trauma of witnesses to this thing. We don't often talk about the trauma to medical personnel, the first responders, the firefighters, the medics who were on the scene first, and of course those who work in trauma centers. Was this discussion? Was this a news conference today? Did someone ask for this? Did they come out with a study that said, hey, we've looked at what we've done, and it turns out we kind of did everything right? in our opinion, this was a year of sort of self-reflection. We call it a debrief. After every newscast, we have a debrief. I imagine they did an extensive debrief of what happened that day. Did somebody ask for this, or are they just being forthcoming with this information?
They're just being forthcoming. So they knew the year anniversary was coming up on December 16th. It'll be a year. And so they're getting ahead of the coverage, knowing that this is something that we've been talking about since this happened, and provided the availability with the doctors that responded that day, just to talk about kind of giving, I asked the question for people in Milwaukee who aren't in Madison, what do you want them to hear from you with this story? And it was that they want people to know that their training worked. You talk about the trauma and the emotions for those first responders. That's something they said the training really is what got them through those harsh moments when they're responding. And just that peace of mind for people if they are dealing with a traumatic situation, that the training in this case worked. And, it was a statewide story that people were talking about and still talk about to this day. But it was provided to us, the interviews, but I think also an opportunity to hear their side of dealing with this and a look back a year later, how they feel. And of course, the positive too, that some of those kids who were injured are now released from the hospital and doing well. And it's partially because of timing. Every minute counts in those situations, and they feel proud of what they did in that response.
Of course, and they should. Is there anything that they think, you know what, we could have done this different? Or do they go by item and say, there isn't anything, and we're not bragging here, but there isn't anything that we think we could have done different or better? Or is there some part where they said, we're going to work on this because we could have been better at this? Was there any of that?
None of that. They did talk about some of the challenges that they faced, one of them being identifying people and how situations like this can be, of course, chaotic, especially at the one thing that they said can be an issue that they did not face in this case is, of course, if there's a crime scene, police are the first to respond, and sometimes they might block a road or a way to get to patients or for an ambulance to pull in, because usually that comes second. They said in this case, it was like the seas parted and they were able to get right to the victims at the school. And so, because I did ask, what are some challenges that you faced? And they said, usually that would be it. But in this case, it was easy to get to where we needed to be. And everybody worked as a team. And sometimes if you're in an emergency department, these situations look very chaotic. You have people running around. And really, though, from the behind the scenes part of it, they said it's organized chaos. It's really, they didn't have any sort of self-criticism in this case. It sounds like they're very proud of how they responded, and the things that usually are a challenge didn't seem to be so in this.
And they're going to take that information and share it with other trauma units, I would think, right? To say, hey, here's what we did, here's what you can prepare for, here's what we did right in anticipation. The second we heard we were having patients coming in, we did this, we did this. Are they planning on sharing this with other medical professionals?
Yeah, I would think so. And I think that's also the message to people in our area, in the Milwaukee, southeastern Wisconsin area, right? Is, hey, this is what we did. And we want people to know that they can have a peace of mind with their response and maybe take some notes on how they went about it. Of course, every situation is different. And it's one of those things where it's unfolding in real time. So there's not, you can train and train and train, but you just never know what a situation might bring. It just sounds like the pieces fell into place and they were ready, and their training really helped them in this situation. But yes, I think, why not talk to other medical departments and emergency departments about the response? I'd have to assume that their training is similar, but with a school shooting and so many people injured in this case, definitely something to take a look.
Yeah, I think you're freezing up there, so I might ask one more question, and if you become unfrozen, you can answer it. There's been studies that show medical technology and medical trauma work has gotten so good and so efficient, often things that we've learned in combat we take to civilian life. that the number of people who died would be much higher. The homicide rate has not always risen commensurate with the number of people who have been shot because of what those medical professionals do, first on the scene, then on the way to the trauma center, then at the trauma center. Did they have any way of knowing how many lives they saved because of their procedures and their techniques and their ability to handle it? Could they quantify? It's already a tragedy. A student and a teacher were killed. The 15-year-old teenager, she shot herself. So there's already a tragedy there. Do they know if they saved X amount of lives with what they did and had followed their procedure?
They said 2 for sure, and those are the 2 patients that they were able to speak about. There's a lot of consent forms that have to be, of course, signed for privacy reasons. But the 2 children that they talked about that were shot multiple times said their injuries were life-threatening, and if it weren't for the training that they had in place, the timing, the teamwork, and just the, you go into autopilot is what one of the emergency responders said. They quantified it as those 2 for sure because they had multiple gunshot wounds. And again, that's, I think, where that pride comes into play, and just the emotional aspect of it, seeing those kids doing well and recovering. These emergency responders saw them when they were being taken away on a stretcher, and then to see them survive and be released from the hospital, that is, they said, a miracle, and definitely said things could have been different if all of their training didn't go the way it did.
Well, thank God it did. Where can we see your story? Well, you're on your way back, I know, and people might think, well, you can talk to her all the way back from Madison. No, I know what this is like. You're still logging these interviews on a desktop or a laptop and writing your story at the same time. I don't want to waste any more of your valuable time as you get here, but when are we going to see your reports?
Yeah, so we'll have this on at 5:30 and 6:15 tonight, and of course, we'll share it on our Fox local app. So we'll have that on later this evening.
Look forward to hearing from those first responders and from those trauma personnel who did such an amazing job on such an awful day. Christina Van Zels, we will let you go. We appreciate your time and have a safe ride back from Madison. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. All right, thanks so much. All right, so that's the story there. Quick update to the legal proceedings here. We're going to talk about the medical work, the trauma work that was done that day, but we should point out that the father of the shooter, of 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, Jeffrey Rupnow, was arrested last spring, and he is facing charges of contributing to the delinquency of a minor and another count of intentionally giving a dangerous weapon to a minor causing death. So he is in some legal trouble on his own, has not yet gone to trial on that, but we are waiting for an update on that. So that's the story there. We're going to take a quick break here and come back with more. We'll take you around the satellites and see what's happening out there today. You're watching Wisconsin Live Desk. It's 2:46. I'm Ted Perry, and we will see each other again shortly.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, Ted Perry, 248 back with you on this Wednesday afternoon. 53 degrees, warming up nicely out there, wouldn't you say? Still a strong wind, but also a lot of sunshine, so that pays its way better. We've had a couple days of real bitter cold. Yeah, I said bitter cold. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. But now we want to take you to Washington, D.C., and this is the House Democratic Women's Caucus talking about health care. Let's give a listen here, because there's a lot happening in D.C. today, but let's give this a few minutes.
Everyday Americans sharing their experiences. It's what passed the Affordable Care Act in the first place. It's what got landmark legislation, like finally reaching marriage equality. It is what changed the shape of our country, when regular people tell their stories. And I'm so honored to introduce Lily Combs, who is here from Virginia, another incredible patriot, an incredible neighbor, an incredible person who is using her individual story and her pain to advocate for neighbors across the country. Thank you so much for joining us, Lily. Woo! Lily!
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you to the Democratic Women's Caucus for having me today. Thank you. My name is Lily Combs, and I live in Fairfax, Virginia. I currently pay $165 per month for a gold plan through the Affordable Care Act. If Congress takes away these tax credits, my insurance is going to go up to $243 a month for a silver plan. I have it right here for everybody if you want to see those numbers. That's over $900 a year, and the deductible is going to be $1,600 more than my current deductible. This also comes as I fight a rent increase, and I know I am just one of hundreds of thousands of Virginians who will face tough choices, and many will drop their entire health plans. This feels like a death sentence for so many people. I had good, I'm gonna put this down now. I had good employer-based health insurance in 2 other jobs, but sometimes life gets in the way. I am a single mom who worked for 10 years for a federal contractor, but left that job in 2016 to help care for my aging mother, who was a widow, while raising a then middle school age daughter. Cobra was very expensive, but fortunately, I qualified for Medicaid, which allowed me to have health insurance while I cared for my elderly mom. In 2018, I returned to work full-time and got a job at Amazon Fulfillment in Sterling, Virginia. I had good health insurance, but I left that job in 2020 to finish to work on my deceased parents' home to rent and help my then teenage daughter dealing with a pandemic mental health crisis. Again, I'm a single mom, and my daughter needed me. I then had income from renting my parents' home after they died and working part-time in retail. So then I made too much to qualify for Medicaid. Fortunately, the Affordable Care Act was an option for me, and I have been on ACA affordable health care ever since. It paid for a surgery I needed a year ago, and I don't know what I would have had done without the Affordable Care Act health insurance. I am worried about what will happen if I can no longer afford health care. I do not have enough hours at my current job that I work health insurance. I am 57 years old. I am getting older, and I am worried about all the health problems that might arise for me in the next 8 years before I can qualify for Medicare. I am also worried about my 23-year-old daughter and my 2-year-old granddaughter. My daughter can stay on her dad's insurance until she is 26, thanks to the Affordable Care Act. But I want these tax credits to be available to her when she ages out of his plan. I have always worked hard, but many people, especially women, have to take a career pause for caregiving responsibilities. I'm a part of that sandwich generation who left a job to care for a parent and while parenting a child. Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act made that possible for me. Since young adulthood, I have lived with anxiety, depression, and take Paxil for my own mental health. Additionally, I am currently trying to get all my preventative appointments in. My mammogram, my physical, my colonoscopy, because I don't know how long I will have health care. So I will close this thought. I had good insurance working for Jeff Bezos, but Congress should not take away my health care in order to fund another tax break for billionaires like him. Woo! Woo! And we should definitely not be sending billions of dollars to bail out Argentina while taking away Americans' health care rights. Thank you to all.
Okay, we've been listening to a news conference from the House Democratic Women's Caucus on health care. That Women's Caucus, by the way, is about to grow by one more member because in 4 minutes, House Speaker Mike Johnson is going to swear in a woman elected from Arizona 49 days ago, but has not yet sworn in. And the Speaker kept saying, well, when Congress comes back in session, we can do it, but I'm not going to swear her in. Congress has to come back in session because of that compromise reached in the Senate, which was approved yesterday and sent over to the House, and the House will be voting on that today. And so Mike Johnson has run out of excuses not to swear in this Arizona Congresswoman who won a special election to replace her father who passed away. So one thing leading to another, and we're going to tell you why it's significant that she is getting sworn in today of all days. And we're going to do that after we take a quick break. You're watching Wisconsin Live Desk. It is 2:57.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hi, everybody. Ted Perry with you at 2:59 as we approach 3 o'clock. Let us give you a shot of Washington, D.C. and a remarkable building, the U.S. Capitol. If you have never been there, you got to do it. Go as a tourist. There are, there will be tours starting up again now that the government is on the precipice of reopening. Later tonight, the House of Representatives will vote on a Senate-backed bill to reopen the federal government. The White House says President Trump will sign it if it gets to his desk. It's not a big if, but there's a little if there. House Speaker Mike Johnson has been trying to persuade the GOP majority to pass it. It's not overwhelmingly popular, but he says he's optimistic. This has had a huge impact, this government shutdown. 900 flights in the U.S. canceled today. Fewer air traffic control problems are being reported. SNAP recipients are in limbo after the Supreme Court said it will keep payments on hold. This after a judge last week said, no, go ahead and pay them full. And that was late last week, and Wisconsin went ahead and paid in full to many people who are on SNAP. And then the White House said, we want that money back. And Governor Evers said, yeah, I don't think so. We've already put it out to the people who need it, the people who deserve it, and we're not giving the money back. So all of this depends on this vote tonight. In the meantime, inside the Capitol is this. This is at Speaker Mike Johnson's office, and he will be swearing in, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to pronounce the name a little bit wrong. I'm going to give it my best, though. Adelita Grijalva. She is a daughter of Raul Grijalva, who was a longtime congressman from Arizona in a very blue district. He passed away. He died in March, and she won a special election to take over his seat. Mike Johnson has said, I'm not swearing her in yet. She's not going to be a member of Congress yet. She can go about and do her job as a congresswoman-elect. She has always contended, no, I can't. I can't get into my office. I can't get an email. I can't serve my constituents because I don't have official status as a U.S. Congresswoman. And Mike Johnson's office repeatedly said, no, you can be working with your constituents. And he said when the government shutdown came along, Johnson said, well, I'm not going to swear in anybody till the government is reopened. Well, the government is almost being reopened. Congress is back in session. Speaker Johnson calling Congress people back to D.C. to vote on this package that was sent to them by the Senate. As you know, 8 members of the Democratic caucus, including Angus King, a senator from Maine who does caucus with Democrats, reached a compromise proposal, a proposal, by the way, that has infuriated many members on the Democratic side of the aisle who were under, their position was, look, we are winning the public perception of this shutdown. It showed in the elections last week. It showed in races in Virginia and New Jersey and in Prop 50. It showed up in school board races across the country. And President Trump even said earlier this week, he said, yeah, we lost, or late last week, I'm sorry, Republicans lost those seats because people think the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown. The president still blames the Democrats. He calls it a Democratic shutdown, but admits that the perception that Republicans were the ones who were still voting to keep this down, even though Republicans repeatedly voted to keep the government open and to open it up. It was Democrats who did not provide enough votes. So the blame game has gone back and forth, right? Over the past several weeks, things have intensified with Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy saying, listen, travel is bad. We're approaching Thanksgiving. It's going to get worse. I've got air traffic controllers not reporting to work because you know what? They need to pay the bills. So they're driving Uber Eats, they're driving Lyft, they're doing whatever they can and calling in sick to go and do these other jobs to pay the bills because they were not getting paid. And so some think the pressure of that, of Sean Duffy, former congressman from northern Wisconsin, now Secretary of Transportation, many people think, that pressure that he put on to say, look, you want to hear angry Americans call in your office? Just wait till they're stuck at LaGuardia or O'Hare or Mitchell or name your airport here over the Thanksgiving holiday. You're going to hear a whole lot of it. And something that led to that 8-person Democratic, I don't want to call it a caucus, coalition we'll call it, to say, all right, we'll reach a compromise. Again, infuriating many Democrats who thought, look, we are winning the public perception of this. But there's another reason that when we go to this swearing in, which was scheduled for 3 o'clock, but it's government, so of course it's running late, right? The only people who run on times are people who run the trains and people who do newscasts. Am I right on that? I'm looking at my producer, Delaney. She's not going to answer, and I don't blame her. But we'll wait for this. But let me tell you why this is significant, that she is getting sworn in today. Because when she does become an official Congresswoman, Grijalva, she does more than narrow the already razor-thin Republican majority. She has vowed to become the 218th and final signature on a discharge petition that would automatically trigger a House floor vote on legislation demanding the Justice Department release additional files on sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who killed himself in prison back in 2019. So, and the timing of this is interesting today because earlier today, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee releasing emails referencing President Trump, including one in which Epstein wrote in 2011, in which he told his confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's already serving a prison term, that Trump had, quote, spent hours at Epstein's house with a sex trafficking victim. Jeffrey Epstein wrote in a 2019 email, this is from the Associated Press, to a journalist that Donald Trump knew about the girls, according to the documents made public Wednesday, but what he knew and whether it pertained to the sex offender crimes is unclear. Now, the White House has quickly accused Democrats of selectively leaking the emails to smear the president. The emails were made public Wednesday as part of a batch of 23,000 documents provided by Epstein's estate to the Oversight Committee. Now, we need to point out a few things. Virginia Giuffre is a young woman who was trafficked by Epstein and died earlier this year. She took her own life, and she wrote a memoir, and she has repeatedly said that Donald Trump was not among the men who would victimize her. In a court deposition, she said under oath she didn't believe Trump had any knowledge of Epstein's misconduct with underage girls. And in her recently released memoir that came out after her death, she described meeting Trump only once when she worked as a spa attendant at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida and did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. In fact, she said he could not have been friendlier. But the bombshell today is that there are that email from Epstein to this journalist, including the phrase, Trump is the only dog that hasn't barked yet. What does all that mean? Well, the White House is saying it doesn't mean anything, and this is a sneaky trick by Democrats. Democrats are saying, well, this just proves what we have been trying to do all along is to get more of those documents out. And this is not all led by Democrats. In fact, the petition was introduced jointly by Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie, a Republican, and California Congressman Ro Khanna in early September. It needs just one more signature to force a vote under House rules. Support has come mostly from Democrats, but again, you have Thomas Massie, and then you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace to sign on, although I believe today Nancy Mace has removed herself from the list of people who, Republicans who want that release. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, for one, has been open and vocal of the White House and Republicans who say, look, you ran on the fact that you were going to release the Epstein files. You're now president. We are now in control of Congress. We're in control of the Senate. Release them already. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been a staunch Donald Trump supporter, now, on this particular issue anyway, one of his more vocal critics. And that has created a huge rift between her and the speaker, who we're going to see shortly here. We were supposed to see 9 minutes ago, but has not yet appeared. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take another break, because we've got to get some breaks in. And hopefully when we come back, we will have either Mike Johnson swearing in the Congresswoman-elect from Arizona, or we'll have Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who's holding a news briefing in a few moments here. You are watching the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's 3:09. We'll be back after a short break.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hello again, everybody. 312 Ted Perry with you on the Wisconsin Live Desk. A gorgeous day in southeast Wisconsin, and it looks to be a very pleasant day in Washington, D.C., as well as you look at the U.S. Capitol, which will be a busy place tonight as they vote on a package that was sent over to them, a spending package sent over from the Senate to vote and reopen the government. That vote should come tonight. I imagine there'll be a little floor debate on that. But right now, let's go from outside to inside. And this is House Speaker Mike Johnson's office here, or just outside his office. We're going to try to listen in here because we are 12 minutes behind what is supposed to be a swearing in of an Arizona Congresswoman. But I'm not hearing anything there. So why don't we do this while we're waiting for that? Why don't we take you to the floor here of the U.S. House? We'll go away from the Speaker's office, and we will take you.
Rita Tusonen, the granddaughter of a bracero who came here from Mexico, the youngest woman ever elected to the Tucson Unified School Board, serving 20 years. Then a Pima County supervisor fighting for working families, affordable housing, early childhood education. She brings that same fight to Congress. The people of Arizona's 7th District placed their trust in her, and today that trust is rewarded. And her first act of Congress will be a powerful one. She will be the 218th and final signature on the discharge petition to force the Trump administration to release the Epstein files, delivering long overdue justice and accountability for hundreds of victims abused by rich and powerful men. She is a smart, principled fighter through and through. Mr. Speaker, it is my honor to welcome and introduce to this chamber Congresswoman Adelina Grijalva.
Well, I will just say that this explains why she was not in Mike Johnson's office. Let's go listen to her, though.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Gracias. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you to my colleague and friend, Congressman Stanton, for that kind introduction, and to the entire Democratic delegation from Arizona and the delegation that stood here with me that has supported me throughout this process. I rise today the proud granddaughter of a bracero, a hardworking Mexican immigrant who came to this country for a better life, and I stand as the proud daughter of a U.S. congressman, a man who spent his entire life fighting for justice, equity, and dignity for the most vulnerable. From working as a vaquero to serving in Congress in just a single generation, that is the promise of this country. That is the America I want to raise my three beautiful children in, Adelina, Raul, and Joaquin. Stand up, baby. Look at them. They, along with my amazing husband Sol and my wonderful mama Ramona, are here with me today. Muchas gracias por su apoyo y tu amor. And thank you to la gente of Southern Arizona for making history, electing me the first Latina, the first Chicana from Arizona to ever go to Congress. Este momento es histórico para nuestra comunidad. Es un honor ser la primera latina en representar a Arizona en el Congreso y les aseguro que aunque soy la primera, no será la última. And while we celebrate this moment today, our American promise is under serious threat. Basic freedoms are under attack. Healthcare premiums are skyrocketing. Babies are being ripped away from their parents by masked agents. We can and must do better. What is most concerning is not what this administration has done, but what the majority in this body has failed to do. Hold Trump accountable as a co-equal branch of government that we are. It has been 50 days since the people of Arizona's 7th Congressional District elected me to represent them. 50 days that over 800,000 Arizonans have been left without access to the basic services that every constituent deserves. This is an abuse of power. One individual should not be able to unilaterally obstruct the swearing in of a duly elected member of Congress for political reasons. Our democracy only works when everyone has a voice. This includes the millions of people across the country who have experienced violence and exploitation, including Liz Stein and Jessica Michaels, both survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. They are here in the gallery with us this evening. Thank you for being here. Just this morning, House Democrats released more emails showing that Trump knew more about Epstein's abuses than he previously acknowledged. It's past time for Congress to restore its role as a check and balance on this administration and fight for we, the American people. We need to fight for our immigrant communities and veterans. We need to stand up for our public schools, children, and educators. We need to respect tribal sovereignty in our environment. We need to stand up for LGBTQ+ rights, because that's what the American people expect us to do. Fight for them. That is why I will sign the discharge petition right now to release the Epstein files. Justice cannot wait another day. Adelante, mi gente. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. I yield back.
So there you see the standing ovation for Arizona Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva, who has spoken on the House floor now.
Under Clause 5 of Rule 20, the chair announces to the House that in light of the administration of the oath of the gentlewoman from Arizona, the whole number of the House is now 433.
Which, of course, is too short of 435, which is the number of House of Representatives. So I think what we're going to see now is interesting as we take a look at the House of Representatives. And now I want to show you the swearing-in ceremony, or where it will be. I don't know. I'm not an expert in parliamentary procedure of the U.S. House of Representatives, so I'm not sure if she is technically a congresswoman right now or not. You just saw Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, declare her to be, and said it added to the numbers, bringing the total number of representatives to 433. I don't know off the top of my head the two who aren't there. There must be two empty seats somewhere. But we're going to keep an eye on this office. Let's see how quickly they all move over, because there's not yet been an official swearing-in ceremony. I'm going to take one more quick break, and hopefully by the time we do a break, we're going to see all the action from here go to here. How about that? You're watching Wisconsin Live Desk on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
A lot of news is going to be made from this location today. In fact, some of it already has been. We just heard moments ago from Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva of Arizona, who reminded the House that she becomes the first Latina, the first woman of Hispanic descent elected from the state of Arizona. Their most recent senator, of course, also a Latino in a state with a growing Latino population. We are still waiting for the swearing-in ceremony to make it absolutely official here, which brings the total number of House of Representatives to 433, too short. There must be 2 open seats somewhere. So anyway, while we're waiting for that, let's go to our producer, Delaney Reed. Sorry, Delaney, I forgot to tell you I was punching you up, because we're going to talk Packers here, the game Sunday right here on Fox 6. Let's show the people what they need to know as they plan their Sunday party. It is 10 o'clock, NFL kickoff, followed by NFL Sunday, and then kickoff at noon, and then a special edition of Fox 6 News after the game. Tim Van Voren will be out at MetLife Stadium. Lily Zhao and Brandon Cruz back here, and then, of course, later that night, the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. Delaney, I want to ask you here, are you getting nervous about this Packer team, which has now dropped 2 games at home and has barely scored any points in either of those contests?
A little worried, but I think it's still early.
Okay, it's not that early. It's not that
No,
early.
not that early.
We're more than the halfway point through the season here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little nerve-wracking, but we'll see.
Now, this is a game they should win. They should win, but we said that about Carolina as well, that they should beat the Carolina Panthers, and they did not. They played the Eagles pretty tight, but not real well. A lot of blown opportunities. The Giants fired their coach after he lost to the Bears last weekend, so they have an interim coach. Their rookie quarterback, or he's not a rookie, he's a second-year guy, Jackson Dart, out with a concussion. So Jameis Winston, famous Jameis, is going to be starting for them. So it should be a fun game, don't you think?
I think so. I hope they win, but it should be fun to watch.
What's your Packer tradition? Where do you watch the games? Are you a bar person? Are you at home on your couch? Do you have a certain, what's your Packers superstition?
For me, it really depends. I like to watch the games at like a sports bar, but sometimes it just ends up being at home on the couch.
Sure. It's a Sunday. You got to work the next day.
Yeah.
You don't want to get carried away. Do you have any superstitions?
I do not. Do you?
I really don't. I actually tend not to watch the first half of games. Because if they're on at noon, either I'm just coming back maybe from Mass or something. I've stopped at a little grocery shopping, getting ready. Sunday is my Monday. And so I'll either try to get in here and watch the second half. This is where I'll be watching the game, the second half for sure, Sunday, because we'll have a newscast on right after the game, in which Mary and I will be featured a little bit, but it'll be primarily talk of the game that had just happened and hopefully the Packers getting back on the winning track. But no, I don't have any baseball, I have a ton of superstitions, got to drive the same way to American Family Field, try to sit in the same seat. I like to be on the aisle. So I'm full of baseball superstitions, but not so much on this.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. All right, so let me take you around one more time. This is outside Mike. I am determined to show you the swearing in of the Congresswoman-elect from Arizona. I think we're going to run out of time before that happens. Let's see what's happening here. Who's coming through these doors? Are we going to get the swearing in? Is this okay? Well, there's the speaker. There's Mike Johnson there, Republican from Louisiana. And there is the Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva from Arizona. Will we have time? We have 30 seconds. Can you guys do this in 30 seconds? Let's see here.
Thank you.
Okay. So we pose.
Proposing.
They're posing. Oh, we might run out of time. We're going to take it down to the wire.
We'll leave the camera to do it.
That's it. She's officially in. We did it, everybody. Thanks for watching the Wisconsin Live Desk. Democracy in action.
That would be another, that would not be my question.
This is look, I really like.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Lou Canellis from Fox 32 in Chicago. Joining me this week on First and North, let's bring up the crew. The voice of the Lions, Dan Miller from Fox 2 in Detroit. From Fox 6 Milwaukee, Tim Van Voorn. Man, the legends are back. Tim and Dan. I'm excited. From Fox 9 in Minneapolis, Pierre Nugent, also in the house. All right, let's hit the NFC North standings first. Lions and Bears, 6-3. But because Detroit whacked the Bears week 2, Lions are on top. They'll meet again last game of the season. And how about this? If the playoffs started this week, Lions would host the Bears in the wild card round. Bears came back to win again on Sunday. When will the Caleb Williams magic run out? Packers have lost 2 straight NFC home games after looking out of sorts to the Eagles last night on Monday Night Football. Vikings won at Detroit, then lose at home to Baltimore Sunday. Which is the real Vikings team? All right, let's bring back the crew. Tim Van Voorn, I know you had a busy night at Lambeau Field. I appreciate you on the show today after all your hard work last night. All kinds of rumors swirling about Matt LaFleur's job, but I want to ask first, what has happened to the Packers offense? 20 points in 2 weeks,